show is about to begin. Tonight we have Eric Plays Bass. We're going to be talking all about how he became such an epic bass player. And he's also someone that works at Sweetwater, so we're going to pick his brain and find out what's life like working for Sweetwater and all the gear and music and everything in between. So get a snack, relax. We're gonna be with Eric Plays Bass here on YenYorkCity Live. Let's get hype and chat. We're gonna start the show soon.
Hey everyone!
What's up everyone? Welcome in. Happy Sunday, guys. It's a Sunday stream tonight. And yeah, we're really hyped because it's been a really nice weekend here in New York City.
Yeah, warm.
It's feeling like spring finally. And
Yeah, you kind of wear, little sweatshirts, hoodies. It's
I like
got a
it.
little chilly wind, but the sun is nice, it's warm.
the cherry blossoms are just starting to bloom, and we're getting that breeze.
Oh, we're getting a raid
we're getting
already.
a raid. Okay, coming in hot, Gamut. What's up, honey? What you been up to? Welcome, Raiders.
Welcome.
If this is your first time here, this is if you're a music lover, you're gonna love this stream because we have a bass player today. Eric plays bass, and Gamut, I know you play bass, guitar, and drums. And I know this is your friend, right, Eric? I've seen you on his stream.
I love music.
Yes. If you love music, hey Creeper, what's up? I'm telling you, this guy, he is one of those bass players that when I saw him, I was just like, damn, like he's really, really like passionate, and he's just like, you feel that in your heart, like when he plays the bass, and just an epic bass player, and such a sweet guy, and no pun intended, he works for Sweetwater, so he's gonna be telling us everything about gear, how it's like to work there, and checking back 6 months later, I know I've bought stuff. I know it's been probably 2 or 3 months since I bought something from Sweetwater. We're always buying from Sweetwater.
Yeah, nonstop. That's our shop area.
Yeah, we give them a lot of our money, so we know it's going to like all the stuff that you see here. So if you guys love what you see and you love music, we have tons of musicians here, and we also do a lot of different kinds of streams. Last night he had a gig in Brooklyn. He's a drummer for hotel security, so I did stream a little bit behind the scenes of that, and it was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, I had fun. It was interesting.
Music Kitchen was the name, and they had really good burgers and fries. And it was a nice spot in Brooklyn. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, they had like a fog machine going off. They were strobing the lights. Like, there's one of our first gigs to have actual stage effects going off.
Yeah, I liked
They're just
it.
standard like overhead lighting.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was hot up there though. I was sweating.
It was
Ripping.
fun. Usually they play in Manhattan, but this gig was in Brooklyn, and I liked the vibe in that place. It was good. I felt like it was a good ambiance.
It was very intimate.
Yeah.
It was a narrow restaurant, bar, and the stage was kind of small, but it was deep, and I was tucked in the corner, so
That's
nice.
the only thing. That's the only thing. Usually I like my drummer visible. And if it was for me, I would have my drummer like on a platform a little bit higher than everyone else, and just, And then I'm glad they had Chris in the front too, the bass player.
Yeah, you can actually see him and do things.
I need to see my bass player too, but they love going back and forth because the bass player and the drummer, they dance and they do the whole thing together, the rhythm section. So it was fun seeing Chris more like visible this time.
I hope Eric brought some candy with him, considering that he works at Sweetwater.
I love the banana Laffy Taffies. That's my personal favorite.
I got my candy here. So.
Yeah, this sounds like when you get the package, and yeah. So how was your stream, Gamut? I hope you had fun. Oh, I know how it is when you gotta stream and eat and run and do all that stuff. But thank you so much for bringing your fam here, and they're in good hands because we have Eric here. Eric plays bass, and we're gonna be jamming with him. We're gonna be talking, and I hope he's ready for me.
2 for 3, noise.
Are you guys ready to hear an epic bass player? Because he's definitely one of them here on Twitch, and we're gonna be talking about his schedule, what he's doing, and everything in between. And next week we have office drummer. Drummer. That's gonna be another hype thing. We're gonna be talking about another drummer. He's doing epic things here on Twitch. And so now we're gonna show you to an epic bass player. Eric plays bass. Are you ready for me, Eric?
I am ready.
All right, let's do this. Let's go. Eric plays bass here on York City Live. What is up, Eric? That was fire. That was so good.
Thank you. Yeah, for a second there, I almost forgot the chorus. I was like, oh shit, I gotta turn this pedal on. Oh, I gotta get up there.
Oh, well, nobody noticed because everybody was seeing the flames coming out of your fingers because they're everywhere. Wow.
You're on fire.
You're on fire, boy. That was great. That was awesome. Is that one of your favorite songs from the band?
I think for Muse, actually, yeah, it's probably one of my favorite tunes from them, and it's totally under the radar because it was on an album that not a ton of people really dig in the Muse discography. So I think Second Law got a lot of bad rep, and I don't know, for some reasons maybe justified, but for others I think that song's great, especially when you see them live.
Oh, yeah.
It's that tune that Matt Bellamy, the guitarist, can kind of get a break from lead vocals and doing his stuff, and he just kind of runs around, does Matt things, and Chris, the bassist, Chris Wolstenholme, actually sings and plays bass on that track, which I can't do at the same time. That's one of the skills I don't have. So I just have enough, running with all those lines there. It gives me plenty to do.
Oh man, yeah, that's such a good song. I love to hear songs that you don't normally hear people play, especially on Twitch. There's a lot of like the common ones, and then there's the ones that you're like, oh, that's. And I enjoy that fully. Like when I'm in your stream, sometimes when you go on like a 3-song block, like song block, or you go on a whole album rampage, like, I actually want to I'm feeling this album, let's play the next song. And then you just go into the next song, like you did with Tiny Music from the Vatican Gift Shop by STP the other day. Oh, right there, I was like in the zone, because that's one of those STP albums that doesn't get a lot of recognition, but it's so part of my heart. Because I grew up listening to all the STP albums, and that one in particular hardly gets mentioned as a favorite, but it is. So
definitely,
I was like, wow, I was like, he's playing all these songs, and it's such a fun stream when you see that, and also it's so enjoyable because bass players to me there's just something when you see a bass player, it's just and drummers. Like for me, it's always those two guys that I'm always staring at, because there's a dance in between them, and it's just it's the rhythm section, right? So so what made
the rhythm
you
section, absolutely.
So is this the first instrument that you ever like chose to play, or do you play any other instruments, and when did you start playing?
I started on guitar, actually. My Telecaster is right down here beside me, and I started playing guitar when I was 9 years old. So I've been playing now a little over 20 years, and I picked it up. Didn't know what I was doing, like anyone. No one knows what they're doing when they start out. No one just picks it up and just starts, doing crazy stuff. Yeah. So I started on guitar because I actually heard the song "Round and Round" by Rat on the radio. I was riding my bike around the neighborhood, and my dad would always blare music through the garage while he's working on the yard or working on his car or whatever. And I heard that song, and I remember riding up my bike, and I'm like, Dad, I want to do that. That sounds cool. And he just kind of looked at me like, oh, okay, all right. And didn't really like hint that he's gonna buy me a guitar. But I came home for my birthday that year, and it was sitting in front of the it was sitting right when I opened the door. Like I opened the door to get home from school, and it's there, and I'm like, my first instinct is my dad bought a guitar for himself, Oh, Dad, you got a guitar? And he's like, no, it's for you. Like, what? And freaked out, and
man, I can picture that in my head. I
started playing.
Wow.
So I started on guitar, but as I progressed at guitar, I wasn't really doing much. I would pick it up, I'd sit down for like 10 minutes. My dad would tell me, like, hey, sit down for 10 minutes and just play. But he didn't know what he did. He didn't know how to play, and I didn't know how to play. So when it came to like actually progressing, I kind of gave up for almost a year. I put it away, put it in the closet, and I'm like, I'm just not doing anything with it. It's that time of when you're a kid, you're kind of trying out a lot of different stuff, and like, I was even thinking like maybe I'll do football, maybe I'll do I like biking, I like like skateboarding, Tony Hawk and stuff like that. And so I was kind of like thinking about what I wanted to do.
What 9-year-olds do. They just like go into like a bunch of different things and see what sticks.
Yeah, just trying it all, and or as much as I did, as much as I would get out there and experiment as myself. And my dad could still tell that I really loved music. We would always listen to music, and he'd point out stuff in the songs, and I would listen and like point stuff back out to him. And so as I got older, for my 11th birthday, my dad got me a gift certificate of, I think, 3 lessons to this local store back in where I'm from. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. And he got me a gift certificate for a store called Full Score Music. And he said, hey, I got you 3 lessons with a professional guitar instructor. And he says, if you take these 3 lessons, it doesn't work out, hey, no harm, no foul. You tried it, whatever. But try it, like actually try it. I'm like, okay. And the rest is history. So,
man, that's great.
took those lessons, and I guess the bass part was I went to play with some friends, and everyone played guitar, including myself, and no one played bass, and there was a bass in the corner. So I'm like, "Who's playing bass?" They're like, "No one." I'm like, well, "I'll try it," And then the rest is history for this. So.
And then once you heard that tone, was it that's the thing, right? Like when you hear a tone of a bass, and then you just pick it up and you start playing it, it's just different, right?
Definitely. I can remember distinctly the moment where I realized how awesome bass was we're just going to go off on a bunch of stories.
Yeah,
that's
it's good.
I guess that's kind of the idea, right?
Yeah. We just go with the flow.
I don't want, yeah. Hey, Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah.
No pun intended. That's one of his favorite bands, by the way, guys.
Yes. Yeah. Queens of the Stone Age and Death from Above, 1979 are like top two, neck and neck for first place. Now I remember I was going on a trip to Wisconsin with my grandparents, and my grandparents, my family is generally like Christian conservative, and I'm not. So for me, I'm sitting in the back seat listening to all sorts of craziness, and they're just in the front seat just driving up north to Wisconsin. And I remember listening to the song, listening to the album Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers.
Oh, that's such a good album.
Yeah, and I'm listening to it for the first time on my CD player and going, bass is awesome. How can bass do this? And I remember getting to Sir Psycho Sexy, especially. I got to Sir Psycho Sexy. And, well, first of all, I was like 12. So a lot of things were happening. And I'm hearing that song and I'm just like,
thanks.
What is going on? What is this? This is insane. And that was when bass really became a thing for me. So that's where I realized it was different, but in great reasons. The foundational element of bass is just awesome. I get to control the movement of the band and the members, and that wavelength between the rhythmic wavelength between a bassist and a drummer when they're really locked in is just the best, the thing can have for me anyway, when you're playing.
I think so too. I agree completely, and Luna can agree. He's a drummer, so
Yeah.
it's something I love seeing too. Like a solid bass player and a solid guys. I'm just gonna let you know right now, if you don't have a drummer first or a bass player first, one or the other, I don't know. I think that's the main part for me. I would not start now that I know what I know. It's the hardest thing to find. A really solid drummer and a bass player. If you got that first, there you go. You got that
really
foundation,
makes the
that
band.
Heart. I agree. So
I mean, the band is the part of everyone. Everyone that's a member in a band counts, of course, but it's the sum of all parts. But that sum, it never equals anything without a good rhythm section. It has to hold everything together, and it is so crucial. But for people that play gigs and stuff, singer's the most important at that point, because that's what people are there to sing along. So trying
I like
to
instrumental bands too, though. Instrumental bands could get really down, or groovy lounge music, or over here we have all kinds of different lounges and venues. So I guess it depends what you really, really like. But for you, what kind of bass player would you consider yourself? Because I know you're your Instagram, you're funky. What's your Instagram name?
It's that one funky monk from Blood Sugar Sex
Yes,
Magic.
I had to connect those two because you kind of have that. I love a funky bass player, and I see that. I can see that that's kind of where you're going at. You really like that. So what are the 3 genres that you love playing the most?
Definitely funk. Number 1 is funk. Number 2 is probably just straight ahead rock and roll type stuff. Maybe not straight ahead rock music, but just rock in general, all sorts of different styles of rock. And then number 3 is probably it's either just weird experimental type stuff or hip hop. I love playing along with hip hop tracks and just laying down a really good groove on top of everything, because I didn't start as just a groove bass player. Going back to where I started playing bass was actually my youth group when I went to youth group as a church kid, and that's where the bass was in the corner just doing nothing, collecting dust, and it was a nice bass too. It was a Mexican made Fender J bass, and it's just sitting there. And so as I got into it though, I wanted to like get into it, I wanted to do the flea stuff, all the crazy Chili Peppers type stuff. And I remember the worship leader kind of like after we like my first song playing with the band, he just kind of like stopped us and he went, "Hey, just bring it down a little bit.
Take it easy.
And I'm
like,
like,
oh my God.
Okay.
Bring down the heat, son.
One note at a time.
I just wanted to play it all. I just wanted to do everything. And as I got older, that I always had to kind of fight that instinct for the first few years of playing, and even playing in bands. Starting, I just wanted to do it all. I just wanted to show people that I could do stuff. And like, I've like perpetually looked like I'm. I went from looking like I'm 12 when I'm 18 to looking like I'm 16 when I'm like 21. And so on and so forth. Which every old person I talk to is like, "Oh, you gotta be thankful for that." And I'm like, "Well, not right now." So I kind of don't want to get carded anymore. And so I had that like desire that I have to like prove myself and I have to like just do a bunch of crazy shit. And as I realized I didn't have to do that to get the job, I kind of mellowed out. I started listening to more mellow stuff too in general, and just like understanding soundscapes instead of just notes. Like I was huge into Dream Theater as a high schooler.
Okay, you met your a new best friend, because he is, I call him the Mike Portnoy of Twitch, because he is, if you haven't seen Luna Satori on Twitch, you guys, he can play like, he did a 3 album, okay?
3 albums?
3 album like playthrough in January. And
ouch.
All at one stream.
That's exhausting.
he was drenched by the end.
Yeah. My limbs wanted to give up on me and says I quit life.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, doing
In the
a
best
bunch
way.
of Mike Portnoy stuff. God, that's crazy, dude. Mike, John Mayung stuff is like exhausting. Just I remember one of the practice tunes I had in high school was The Great Debate, which is for bass players, it's like the whole song is. It's like that's the whole song.
Yeah.
But he's doing it down here, and for me, I play a short
stretch.
scale bass. It's a big stretch, like playing it down low where it's at, and then doing all the crazy. Doing all the like, that's like my break point. So I would try to practice that song and like do it all in one take. And I remember the first time I did it, I like almost like just like my hands like cramping up. Oh my God, yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. I still have a big soft like spot in my heart for Dream Theater. It was just like in high school that was like that hyper technical, like I gotta learn how to do all that, and I'm like learn how to tap and do all this crazy stuff. And I realized that none of that was gonna really, at least in my neck of the woods, it wasn't gonna get me any gigs. Like it'd probably get me a cool passion project, and like, but I didn't have anyone in my area that was like both technical enough to do that type of stuff and also like committed enough to like jump into it. So I realized like, okay, what can I do? And the cover band scene, that's where it's really that's where people are playing out and making money. And so I also at that time started like really just diving into all sorts of stuff. College age, when you're in college or that age, you start experimenting with more just stuff. You're getting exposed to stuff and trying new things, and I exploded with all sorts of musical genres that I was discovering through friends I made on the internet, friends that I have to this day, just forums and chat rooms and stuff like hey, you heard of this band? No, let me check them out. Have you heard of this band? No. And then just sharing music.
No wonder you're a beast on the bass, because you started like Dream Theater back in the days. Really, that's your beginnings. Wow.
That's where it started. All the Dream Theater. I remember, like, I can still remember a lot of the tunes that I learned.
I'm gonna have you play something if you can today. Then I have to for Luna's sake.
Constant Motion.
Oh, Constant Motion.
Constant Motion.
Which is
and
your
then
favorite one?
Trying to do the.
Oh,
trying to do
man.
that, you know.
I love it. I love it. I get so excited because he gets really into the whole. We went to see Dream Theater last month. So,
Oh, sick.
yeah, at the
Nice.
Beacon, and that was my first time. And then it was just like, okay, I get it. And then last month I took him to see. It was kind of like, okay, I'll take you to see one of my favorite bands, and he took me to see one of his favorite bands. I took him to
Oh,
Tool. So Tool,
Wow.
because Danny Carey's one of my favorite drummers, and then he was like, okay, I get it now. And then I went to see Dream Theater, Mangini. I've always gotten, and I love him. Mike
Oh, yeah.
Portnoy was in the audience, and everyone was, oh, we have a brother here in the audience.
right in front center.
And everybody was like
awesome.
standing up,
Oh,
like
you-
wanting to see where Mike Portnoy is sitting at in the theater.
Because you guys are in New York, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
we're
New
there.
Yorkers.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, because I think Mike's from Long Island, or...
Yeah, he's
Um,
from Long Island.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad. That broke my heart, as it did for most every Dream Theater fan when Mike and the band kind of fell out for a while, and just everything going on with that. It's like, I'm very fortunate. I did get to see the classic lineup one time. That's the only time I've seen Dream Theater live. I saw them in 2009 for Progressive Nation tour. That was one of the times I went up to Wisconsin, actually, the second time. And I guess going up to Wisconsin's all about musical journeys for me. So I got to go up there.
Who would have thought Wisconsin had like that kind of stuff going on up there?
I will say, side note, if anyone here goes to if wants to see really good woods, Wisconsin's excellent. I mean, I'm not much of a I'm more of a city type person, but I like being able to go to somewhere nice and quiet in the woods, just chill. And Wisconsin was that for me. It's so beautiful there. Lots of great wildlife, and just people there laid back because there's not as much going on. There's not as much stress happening up there. So people are generally more just like, oh, hey, how's it going, neighbor? And
It's
hanging
simple
out.
and sweet.
Yeah, you could be there. You never been up there and oh, hey, neighbor, come over here, come on, let's hang out. And it's just everyone's your neighbor up there. So
Everyone's
super-
Mr. Rogers. Everyone's kind
Yeah,
and nice.
exactly. Yeah, at least
Yeah.
where I went. I mean, I can't. I'm basing the entire state off of my limited
One area.
reactions.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
your mileage may vary, but when I was up there, it was really chill. And I saw Dream Theater, headline Progressive Nation is during the Black Clouds and Silver Linings tour. So the last, Mike Portnoy tour, and then Frank Zappa opened for them. Or, sorry, Dweezil Zappa.
Oh, I was about
like,
to say what?
Yeah, Frank's still alive. He's out.
Like, what?
Yeah, Dweezil.
The whole
Dweezil
hologram thing.
it was Tupac before Tupac.
Yeah, right.
I know.
Yeah, is Dweezil Zappa. Zappa plays Zappa. And honestly, he pretty much stole the show. He was unreal. His band and his musicianship was just I wasn't prepared for it. I was prepared for Dream Theater. I'd listened to Dream Theater ad nauseum. My dad knew that. My dad had listened to enough Dream Theater, but I had never listened to any Zappa stuff. And so when Zappa came out, I'm like, what the hell is this? This is marimba? What? And just all sorts of zaniness. And Scale the Summit was there too. That was their first tour. Those guys were awesome. And then there's this band called Big Elf that was Black Sabbath-y type of stuff that at the time I didn't dig, but if I bet if I check them out now, I'd probably like them a lot more.
You would appreciate their music more.
Exactly, yeah. It's because sometimes you got to be in that mind frame, that mindset. I've definitely seen shows where I'm like, man, I didn't really dig it, and then after the fact, I'm like, that was actually really good. I should have appreciated it more, but that's life. So
I got to see them Dream Theater 3 times with the original lineup. First was at Tower Theater for their Train of Thought tour.
Oh, Train of Thought tour.
Yeah.
So they have the short hair Petrucci still.
Yeah, with the spike. Yeah.
It's yeah. The color changing Ernie Ball and everything.
And then the second was during Gigantor with
Megadeth?
Megadeth, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
Mega Dave.
And was it Symphony X, was it? Or I think Symphony X was a part of that lineup.
That would be
And
sick to see.
Nevermore. Fear Factory was with them.
Yeah,
that's
Fear
cool.
Factory.
Yeah.
I don't think they're around anymore, are they?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's been so long since I've heard anything new coming out from them.
Yeah, there was a
What's
lot of
coming
bands
out?
in that tour. And then afterwards, the last time I saw them was for their 20th anniversary tour. And that's when they played at Radio City Music Hall, and they did the DVD there.
Oh yeah, the Octavarium
Tour, yeah.
Era, yeah. Score, right?
Yep. And they had like the orchestra and stuff in the background. It was crazy.
Labrie has never sounded as good since then. That was like his.
That was his last.
Peak.
That was his. Yeah, that was it.
Damn, the shade.
And then it dropped.
The shade of it all.
Oh,
I don't know, like after Octavarium, what was it? It was Systematic Chaos was after that.
Yeah. Oh, that was where I got into Dream Theater.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I think Black Cloud Silver Linings, that album was like fair. But nothing will beat 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence.
Oh. Yeah.
And Scenes from a Memory.
That's the best.
That's my
Scenes
favorite
from a Memory
one.
is magnum opus. That for me, absolutely. Just I mean, aside from the whole concept thing, but just the musicianship. The first album with Rudess on keys, and like that was when James's voice was starting to come back finally after the horrible, food poisoning stuff, and then Falling into Infinity. Which so Falling into Infinity is like to Dream Theater like Muse's Second Law is. I feel it got a lot of bad publicity because it was that album where the record label is just pushing them, telling them they have to be more accessible, and it's like, we're a progressive metal band, what do you want from us? Like, you know what we're about now. And they were getting that pressure, and then I mean that was the first album or only album with Derek Sherinian, but I still love Lines in the Sand is one of my favorite Dream Theater tunes in general. I love playing that one. It's one of the few I can play pretty much all the way through.
I felt like that album was very experimental.
Oh,
like
yeah.
in its tone and stuff. Between that and Awake.
Yes. Oh, I love Awake too. Awake's probably my second favorite Dream Theater album, honestly. I love the songwriting on it. I love the performances. Kevin Moore, of course.
Kevin Moore is a genius.
The keyboard solo to is it Under Glass Moon? I think it's Under Glass Moon. It's off of the Images and Words album. But like I'll listen to that over and over again because it's just so musical and so like full of just like goodness, proggy goodness, and it's incredible.
So how many Dream Theater songs did you end up picking up when you were learning?
Oh, when I was learning? Okay.
That's a big question.
I mean, I learned most of Constant Motion. I could probably do Constant Motion. I could try doing it later, but I don't think it'd work out very well. I'm pretty rough at it. I don't have, and plus I'm on a 4-string bass. Where I think my young only used a 4-string for the first 2 albums, and then he switched to 5 and 6 there by after. Constant Motion. I've got parts of Dark Eternal Night. One of these days, my goal is to do In the Presence of Enemies because that's probably top 5 Dream Theater tune for me. Maybe top 10. Top 10. Yeah, it's like the best tune off of Systematic Chaos. And just
a great story.
Oh yeah, it's killer. And just like I remember I watched all the behind the scenes videos and shit from Dream Theater, which are hilarious. I'm sure you've probably seen most of them or not.
Yeah.
And like. I remember just Mike's comments on stuff. He's like, "You took your evil pills this morning," and he's just like talking about the story of In the Presence of Enemies. But so that's 2-ish, like 1 1/4 really. Lines in the Sand, Lie in the Mirror, parts. Well, the bass solo from Metropolis. Let's see what else. Scarred's intro line. What else we got?
So you did some homework.
Yeah, I definitely learned of quite a few. Glass Prison, a lot of Glass Prison. That's a workout and a half.
That's a fun one.
I still can't do the crazy break, the bass break part near the end of the song.
So which one is it that you're just like, okay, I can play this one, like through and through?
A Dream Theater tune that I can play. Lines in the Sand. That's probably the most accessible Dream Theater gets for me as far as like bass lines go. I don't have a 6-string to do the fucking amazing bass harmonic run after the big climb up, down, and then there's that little harmonic thing. It's just like, God.
Man, so good.
I want a 6-string bass just to like pick it up and play that harmonic run every now and again, and just like put it back down.
So do you think you want to get one then? Is that like the next goal?
I think if I'm going to get another bass, it's going to be a 5-string bass. I miss my 5-string bass. I shouldn't have sold it, but I did, and I'm glad I did. but I probably should have kept it one of those things, Any musician that does it as long as I have at this point has most likely bought and sold lots of things. You buy something, you go, this is it, and then you try it and you're like, that's not it, sell it, you get something else. You guys can't see my pedal board, but my pedal board's actually smaller than it normally is right now, with 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 pedals in the row. I think at max I had 21, maybe. So you go through stuff.
You go through stuff.
Yeah, my next goal is to have a 5-string. The company that made this, the bass that I have, is a company called Sarek Basses in Chicago, and Jake Sarek and his team do amazing, impeccable work, especially for the price point. And I'm hoping that one day soon I can afford to put in a custom order again with him and get a 5-string made that's a short scale. Since I pretty much exclusively play short scale basses now, I've realized after years of struggling with my small hands that there's no point to struggling in music. Sean Lane, I don't remember the exact quote from Sean Lane, but he basically said, if you're having trouble playing it, find an easier way to play it. There aren't any rules to playing music. I think a lot of people really get wrapped up in you have to use your fingers when you play bass. You have to play with your thumb not wrapped around. You have to play like this. It's no, you play however you find enjoyment, whatever is a healthy way for you to play and finds you joy, do it.
It's this part of my song that I play with my band, and it's I can do it with a single pedal. It's almost like a triplet single pedal foot roll throughout throughout the entire segment, and it's fine. But then there's times I can get fatigue over time, and then so I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do it with a double and just keep it as the double.
Yeah,
and then
why not?
You hear people, it's oh, you can't do it with single pedal. I'm like, I can, but why do I want to stress myself out?
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, hurting yourself isn't a good idea. Yeah. So I've realized that after years of playing out, and I mean, I don't have any hand carpal tunnel arthritis type stuff now, knock on wood, but I want to make sure I keep it that way for as long as I can, because arthritis does run in my family, and I want to play bass as long as I possibly can stand it. So I realize that short scale just makes a lot more sense for me. Though I'm also kind of still experimenting a little bit, maybe going to medium scale or something. But the problem is when you try to experiment, once you've kind of opened Pandora's box and ordered a custom bass, it's you can't really go
back.
Go
back once you go custom.
Yeah, because you figured out what you want, and it's your comfort.
Or you hope so. Yeah. And I love this bass to death. This was my dream bass. Twitch actually helped fund a lot of this. Thank you, everyone watching in Twitch land. This was most partially, it was partially due from Twitch. I sold a lot of gear to make it happen too, and honestly, unemployment helped a lot. When COVID hit, I had to fight the state, not in court or anything, but I had to keep pushing for my refund, and my unemployment compensation. They wouldn't. I was on the phone for hours, and then I get disconnected or transferred, and they disconnect me, and so I just kept trying, and finally, it all came in a lump sum after I had managed to get by in the meantime. And I'm sitting at this money. I'm like, I got more money in my life than I've ever had. Let's buy a nice bass.
Oh, snap. Let's treat myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was before Sweetwater or after Sweetwater? Or during?
It was before Sweetwater. So actually, and Sweetwater kind of comes into play here. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and that is about 2 hours, depending on how fast you drive, away from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And so I did the trek out there and tried a bunch of cool basses, tried some Federas because, you got to try a Federa. For those that might not know, Federa is like Bugatti Veyron of basses, basically. Wow. And I had to try it, and of course I'm like, this is awesome, but not for me. I don't have $7-8 grand or anything. So I tried a lot of stuff, and I was very close to pulling the trigger at the time on there's this company called Strandberg out of Sweden.
Strandberg, yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, and Strandbergs are incredible ideas. I still think the execution's a little bit.
The design is unique.
The design is incredible. Yeah, they have without going too tweaky on anyone that's watching that's not super tweaky, but they have this thing called the enduro neck, where as you move up and down the neck, it becomes more ergonomic. The neck changes shape as you move up and down, because we're humans. We don't go like this. We're natural. There's like a motion of like waving as you move your as you pivot your elbow.
So it kind of bends.
So, yeah, the fan fret changes how you move your fingers, and if you don't have to like maneuver your hand in a different way, it's more ergonomic. It's like better for you, longer lasting. In general, unless you get something like really made well for you, you need something that's just going to fit you more naturally. It's like sitting in a really comfortable chair, and Strandberg was that, but for the money and the quality control that I came into, I was just like, I don't know. And I, ended up going the custom route because I realized, well, I think short scale is going to make a lot more sense for me in the long run. And I'm happy I did. I love this thing. And I loved it so much, I have a fretless version over there too.
Nice.
Fretless, wow.
I'm not good at fretless, not yet, but one of these days.
So, do you have, is working at Sweetwater like a remote job, or is that like
Yeah, you got to be on. So like, it's mandatory if you work at Sweetwater, you have to be there in Fort Wayne. You have to relocate to the area, simply because they just want you to be there, and not have to worry about computer issues at home or anything. It's because of how demanding the job is, it is very much integral that you are there to work physically there, because of how sophisticated the programs are to do the phone things. It's not like there's a telephone there and you wait for it to ring and then you answer and it's like, it's Sweetwater, how can I sell you something? It's a lot more involved with that, without like spilling details or anything, but it's just a more involved, very complicated system. We do have now, with COVID times, there is some work from home that has to happen. We don't want everyone in the office to get sick and die. So if someone gets sick, they do have like a way of setting it up at home, but it's very bare bones and very tricky. So yeah, basically, long story short, you have to be in Fort Wayne, and so I moved from Toledo to Fort Wayne last year to make it happen.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's your favorite thing about it? Is it the discounts, or is it just dealing with people and you love just
the network?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the discounts are great. I mean, I've gotten some very nice things through the hookup, but the most gratifying part of the job is just helping other musicians. Honestly, like, I want people because every musician has a need. You need an instrument, you need something to record, you need something to play back sound, you need something to make the room sound better. There's so many needs, and sometimes needs that people don't even know. And so the really gratifying thing is to hear someone say, hey, I got this problem, and you go, okay, what's the problem? And they explain it, and you go, oh, here you go, this is what you need. And then they come back and they're like, dude, yeah, that was the hookup, thank you. Like, that's what makes it worthwhile for me. That's the best part.
Yeah, I have a problem.
What's going on?
So I
don't have a drum set for $200. Like, oh well,
Well, it depends what kind of problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I had placed an order for we got this Boss pedal board. It's like all-in-one kind of pedal board.
The powered Boss pedal board.
Yeah, we could put like batteries in it too. Yeah. But it doesn't come with the adapter, so I had to order the adapter separately. So I ordered the adapter that I thought was for the pedal board, and I got it. It wasn't for the pedal board. It was for something completely different. And then I tried calling the rep, and it didn't seem like he was helping to provide a return or a refund on it, because I didn't get anything back.
At Sweetwater?
Yeah. I sent
recently?
I sent an email, and I was like, okay.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. We never got another.
Yeah, I still got the box there, and I haven't even opened it. Like, the packaging, I still got the candy in the box too. So
make sure you got to return that one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you can help with that, would be great.
Yeah, because it's
well, first of all, if you have any issue with getting timely service on something, it is difficult sometimes doing the job just because we have thousands of people we are responsible for. And that's one of the great things and one of the tricky things with Sweetwater is that it's very personalized service. But to provide that personalized service to every individual nationwide and worldwide for some international customers, it gets tough, and sometimes stuff does get unfortunately lost in this mad scramble of stuff going on. So the best we can do at that point is just say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm with you now, let's get this figured out. If you're having an issue with anything, and you have to return it or something, if it's anything other than like I didn't like it, or I need something else or something, generally the process for Sweetwater is they get you over to the tech support side of things. That we have a whole tech support team that actually we pay to be on staff at Sweetwater and trained in troubleshooting a lot of the gear that we sell, and they run you through some troubleshooting steps. Now in this case, if the troubleshooting step is I got the wrong power supply, then it's really on the sales engineer at that point to go, hey, sorry about that, let's get you the right one, send you a return label for the old one, let's get you hooked up. So without me being your sales engineer or knowing the exact everything, it's hard for me to kind of like step in, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, we should absolutely be able to take care of you, like no problem at all. Having said that, I don't usually recommend those powered pedal boards. I mean, they're more affordable, and if you're using, I guess, all Boss pedals, it kind of makes sense. But it's better to get a modular setup where it's hard for me to show you, but
the individual pedals, right?
Yeah. Getting individual pedals, getting well, not necessarily if you use like a HX Stomp or something, or a Helix or anything, but getting a board and then getting an isolated power supply, because the biggest problem with these like self-contained powered boards is they don't provide clean isolated power to each pedal. They daisy chain them all together, which for Boss pedals, it doesn't really matter that much generally, at least for the standard, like regular sized Boss pedals, I guess, sized. But you want to get an isolated power supply to make sure everything's getting clean power and separated power. So if you, worst case scenario, have like a lightning strike or a brownout or something that sent a bad signal to your ground, it didn't zap everything in that line. It would stop at a certain point. So anyway, that's getting tweaky with it. But yeah, if
let's get tweaky.
The best thing you can do too is just to call directly into tech support too. If you're having trouble reaching your engineer there, you can dial the 800 number and dial extension 6400. It's on the website. That gets you in the tech support queue. Might wait 20-30 minutes, but you'll get someone that will say, hey, what's going on? And then you tell them, and they're like, oh, sorry about that. Here you go. Because you need the 9-volt 2-amp.
Yeah, I ended up getting the right one. I gotta send this one back, the old one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What they might end up doing too, what's the old power supply? Was it like a one spot or something, or?
I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to explain.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I actually think
it plugs into the wall and it plugs into something else. I don't.
Yeah. He's a drummer,
We just plug things.
Oh yeah, we'll have to give you the drummer discount. Maybe that's what they're giving you. Drummers.
I'm a drummer, not a guitarist. Damn it.
Of course, he doesn't know what he's buying. He's a drummer. He only knows wood.
He just knows how to bang on drums.
He knows wood, metal, and skin. That's all he knows.
The mind of a caveman. I'm just kidding.
Right. Like notes. I didn't know there are notes here.
Just do what I do, and I just do it really good. That's all.
Yeah, just follow me. That's it.
Yeah. We're playing in G. What's that? You'll get it.
Just follow my lead. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll take care of you. Like, if you have any trouble, just let me know. I'll get you squared away.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate you. See, best rep right there. If you
best
need anything,
one ever, okay? Yeah, I've always had a good experience. I think the only time I've ever had anything was around the whole, epidemic, and there was like a low stock of a guitar that I wanted. It was the Ibanez, and then they didn't have that specific color, and then I was like, oh, it's okay, but it was just because it was a lot of stuff wasn't making shipments, and also there was a lot of shortages because they were mass producing things anymore. So they explained it, and it was fine. So I just went to the store and got it in person.
Oh, nice. There you go.
So I was like, okay. You know, I was like, I'll risk myself by going because I just wanted it, you know.
Right.
But yeah,
it's one of the trickiest things, definitely. Like with stock being with Sweetwater's specifically too, but in general, everyone with COVID times, a lot of production halted because of safety and just because of availability of people. But then what it did was it was already a problem that I think was kind of brewing in general as demand and popularity of music stuff has been going up.
Oh yeah,
which is great. You know, a lot more people have been getting started with playing instruments again. With the age of the internet, we just have so much going on in general that people naturally try everything, and music is part of that. So there's been more people getting into it, and as demand went up in like tenfold, or not, I don't even know, tenfold, like a lot fold, with people getting into music with being stuck at home. You know, they went, well, let me play an instrument now. But that's everyone in the country and the world, and everyone kind of doing that, and you know, so it all kind of just collided into itself, and it's never really stopped because it's a product of like just capitalism in general. Like businesses go, ooh, people buying stuff, let's make more stuff, and then people just buy more stuff and just keep, like, the train just keeps going. But it's like, you know, it's at the station trying to get like filled with stuff, and stuff just keeps, you know, just getting backlogged. And so the trickiest thing is, like, we don't know sometimes when something's going to come in. The quad cortex is a prime example. Actually, even a better example now is probably the Silver Sky SE, the John Mayer signature. PRS knew it was going to be very popular, but they didn't know it was going to be
that popular.
that popular, and they literally cannot create a guitar of their caliber as quickly as people want it to be made. And it's like, it's such a, you know, it's frustrating for people that want one, but it's also just like frustrating to tell people, like, hey, you and 1,000 other people want this thing, and they make 50 at a time every month.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I mean, the supply chain is a little slim, you know, especially having to get the materials and all that stuff in on time, and you know, cargo is, you know, at its limits now, and it's like sometimes even with like COVID, not a lot of cargo is getting shipped out at a given time, or it gets lost in sea because there's so much happening, and it's a whole lot of stuff.
Literally, a tracking number went viral on the internet that was coming from Sweetwater because the tracking showed shipment lost at sea, or like shipment thrown in the ocean or something like that. And it was real. Like the cargo fell off the boat and.
Oh no!
It's gone.
That is tough. That's a lot of money. That's gone.
Yeah, shit happens. I mean, it happens. Like you do the best you can and tell people, like, hey, sorry.
Yeah, the company I work for, the supply of cargo is limited. Like there's just no ships to ship the shipment we want to get put out there, to get sent over to our stores and stuff. So it's like, you know, we're limited on time and also manpower and all that stuff. So it's a, you know, it's a fickle thing we gotta have to work with.
Right, and you just do the best you can. You know, I had one of my coworkers was waiting on a couch for, I think, 8 months. And, you know, just like we had to tell customers, you know, he was getting told, hey, it's going to ship in June. Like, all right, great. And then June comes up like, hey, it's July now. Like, okay. Hey, it's November now. And you're like, ah. So it's tough, but it is what it is, you know. And it's the biggest thing I tell people too in general. It's like, this is not because I don't want to sell you this. I would love to sell you this because I get paid when you get your item. So it's not because I don't want you to get it. It's because I can't get it right now.
Yeah.
So, and usually then people are like, okay, yeah, you know, all right.
Yeah, but
it is what it is.
One thing that I read that was really positive, it's like they hardly talk about the positive news about what happened with everything, right? The most beautiful thing that happened because everybody was in lockdown, was that a lot of people started playing instruments again and adopted a lot of dogs. So there was so many empty shelters for puppies and dogs because people were like, well, we're stuck at home, and a lot of people were like lonely or they didn't, so they were under lockdown, and they're like, well, I'm gonna pick up an instrument because what else am I gonna fucking do? Or I'm gonna have a puppy because you know what, I'm fucking lonely, I'm over here in quarantine. And so they got a pet. So I think that was pretty nice, and I think that it makes sense that there was a lot of shortage because there was literally on the news, they were showing, let's talk about good news. And then they showed the pounds, they were empty because all the pets were adopted.
That's awesome.
So I was like, that's beautiful. I was like, that's the best shit ever. So I like that. I like that. Well, there were shortages because people were actually trying to find the time to pick something up, and I love that people started coming onto Twitch, and because they couldn't do venues and they wanted an outlet also to not only play but to watch people entertain, So how did you discover Twitch, and was it around the time that things happened, like the lockdowns and stuff, that you started getting more into Twitch, and how did you start streaming on Twitch?
I want to be entertained.
He wants to be entertained.
Yes, let's play a song.
Oh, song time?
Yes, sir.
And then we'll talk about how you started on Twitch.
Yes.
Good segue. Good segue. At this point, usually I ask my chat too. I'll say, "Hey guys, do you want to hear anything?" Well, you can see I can.
What are you feeling?
I got something in mind. I'm feeling anything. I'm game for just about anything. On my Twitch channel, I do have a song list of over. Well, I've kind of culled it a little bit because of just copyright concerns, but now at this point everything's copyrighted, so whatever. Yeah. But at one point it was over 1,500 tunes that I had in the list, and they're all songs that I'm like, yeah, I could play that, at least halfway decently. I want to do a song from a band that no one really knows for the most part, but I hope that this band comes back someday, or like, I don't know, it's one of those bands where you're like, you really hope you can see them live, even though it's very unlikely. They're a band called Big Bite, and the song, let's see, did someone say song list? Yeah. What's up, Gamut? What's up, George? Some of my regulars there in the chat there. We're gonna do a song called Faith by Big Bite. This is a band out of, I believe, Washington State, and this album is their self-titled, and it's not free on Bandcamp, but you can get it on Bandcamp. So if you like this, beep it. Let's do it. the air from.
That's how we know it was amazing.
Big Bite, Faith. There's a really great music video to that song too, where they're all at one point just when they get to that chorus, where it's like da na 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 na, and it's just everyone in unison, and they just kind of like really cool camera effects there, and everyone just like just killing it. They have a great drummer in that band too. It's part of the reason I chose them there for that really solid drummer in that group. That's what it's all about,
Yeah, we gotta check out more of their stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that.
So yeah, when did you start Twitch?
So, onto the segue. I kicked off Twitch. I didn't start streaming on Twitch until probably 2017 or 18. Let me see. Let me look it up actually to verify. I started on Twitch when it was Justin TV though.
Oh wow.
Yeah, way back in the day.
And an original OG.
Right. Just old now. Let's see, my first highlight from when I was like my early stream on Twitch, early bass stream anyway. Yeah, 2018. So I've been playing bass on Twitch for almost 4 years now. Thereabout, I think it was May of 2018 that I started actually. So yeah, about 4 years. But I've known of Twitch. I've been on Twitch ever since it was Justin TV, and watch Super Smash Bros. Melee streams. I'm a big fan of Super Smash Bros. Melee, and following the tournament scene there for a while. Very dedicated from like 2014 to 2016. I was like in it, or not in it. I can't play Melee very well, but I love watching it at the competitive level. It's an amazing kind of art form, honestly. But yeah, I started streaming in 2018, just kicking it, kicking around the idea, and then it really did take off for me, like when COVID hit and I was stuck at home for 2 months, and I'm like, oh, I got a webcam, I can play bass, like let's
do this.
More. Yeah, and it really kind of took off for me then. At one point, I was just like, one of the main bass players on Twitch. There was a bass player named Jacob Abrams that I would follow. I think that was his name. Let me make sure.
Eric, but, I know I've seen you in. I remember seeing your name. You were in Baroli's a lot, right? And
Robson Baroli.
Robson.
Dude, he's killer. Dream Theater, he can play a lot more Dream Theater tunes than I can, really well.
They did a collab together remotely once.
Yeah, we did a Dream Theater collab.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah,
what'd you guys do?
So we, I fed the audio to Thomas Frank, and then
Tom's great. Tom's awesome guitarist.
Yeah, and then Thomas fed my audio and his audio to Robson. So Robson's like the last of the leg to get all the groups, everyone in the video. So if anyone wanted to hear all three of us at once, they will all go to Robson's stream to hear everyone in one take.
Okay.
So we did that for a bit.
That's awesome. I'll have to. You say you still have that like highlighted somewhere? Or?
I think Thomas Frank posted it on YouTube of like clips of the highlighted spots.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
It was so good.
There's a lot of great like Dream Theater cover stuff on the web that I've been out of it for a little while, so I'd love to see what you guys did there. It was Jacob Edwards was the name of the guy. His Twitch channel's gone. I don't know what happened. But he played a 7-string bass on Twitch, and I saw him playing and like having a decent group of people watching him play, and I went, well, that sounds like maybe I should do that, and that's kind of where it started for me. And then I would see guys like Robson, Matt Gaddy, those were the two like other bass players I mainly saw playing, and there's still a lot more great ones. Riptide Son, one of my favorite bass streamers on Twitch now still. Someone you guys had on your podcast recently, Nega Greer from Canada.
Oh yeah, we love Greer.
Yeah, Greer is super cool. He's also Eric, plays bass as well. So his real name's Eric, and he plays bass just like this Eric that plays bass. And so yeah, he's super cool. A lot of really good talent on Twitch in general. But yeah, it started for me, like it really took off for me when COVID hit, and I had people starting checking me out, and just doing it like almost every day. At one point I was streaming like at least 5 nights a week, if not 6 or 7, because I just didn't have anything else better to do. And then I started kind of slowing down a little bit as things kind of came back and I was working again. But I've never really played shows ever since. I think I used to be a gigging musician mainly. I would play out in bars and stuff. And I think my last show that I played out at was the week before quarantine hit, or like it was St. Patty's Day weekend.
So it was March.
Yeah, and it was right before like the stay-at-home order, at least for my state, from Ohio, happened, and like I didn't have anything going on, so it was kind of crazy, and I
was gonna ask if you were like in a band or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been like in a band for a few years now, not even counting the last 2 years, but even before that, I was just doing session stuff. Like I'd be an on-call guy, and then that's when things started kind of diving down for me anyway, because most people that needed a bassist I was usually second string, or I wasn't as available with my work schedules and everything. And let's face it, the fewer musicians you have on stage, the more you get paid at the end of the night. So if the difference between $100 per member is one person, the bassist is probably going to go. So, they need someone to do percussion, they need someone to sing, and someone to play guitar. So that's usually the max for a lot of people.
That's a bad call.
That's the worst.
I'm a little biased too of it, but I mean, it makes sense, for just like, playing in bars and stuff. Like they want to hear the vocals, they want to hear the guitar parts, and they want to move. So that's just how it ends up working. But yeah, of course, I disagree.
I mean, the bass.
Where's my buddy?
We need the foundation.
Right, yeah.
Like, screw the solos. I need to like feel that bass. Yeah. That's a hard call. I don't know. I don't know about that. It depends.
Get rid of the guitarist.
I mean, if you have two guitarists, and then you're saying, okay, you're chucking the bass player.
Well, it's one thing if you have two guitarists, but I think it was just one guitarist.
Yeah, just one. So. But yeah, two is like, that's excessive. You don't need that. You can't play the rhythm at the same time. Forget about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's true. The less cooks in the kitchen, right? Like they say.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. But wow. So now that you're working, and I know that's why we're doing it on Sunday, because the work becomes more of the focus. So now instead of 5 days, how many days do you stream?
Now I'm lucky to get 1 day a week pretty much. I try to stream every Friday and Sunday if I can. So this Sunday, this kind of counts, as my stream. And, I try to do, if I can, a Friday stream. I have a couple theme days that I used to do all the time. I did one a couple days ago. I do Funk Friday, where it's funky tunes only. So it has to be something either funk driven or funk adjunct, so hip hop's included, of course, R&B. Sometimes I get away with playing Death from Above because they're kind of funky in a punk way. But yeah, Fridays are like Funk Friday, and I try to do those every Friday if I can manage it, but it's easier said than done. And Mondays are Miku Monday. So I have a pedal called the Miku Stomp. And a lot of people know what this is, but it sounds like this.
Oh yeah, I've seen you play that. Yes. It's so fun because it's redeem pedal, and then there's like a bunch of different pedals. And you said you have like 21 pedals. Jeez, that's a lot of pedals.
I used to, yeah. Right now I'm down to 14, so
that's still really, a lot of pedals to choose from.
Especially for a bass player, I suppose.
Yeah. But. So what is it that your go-to like top 5 pedals that you're always reaching for, that are your favorite?
Well, the ones that are always on, Miku's, 0th position, because Miku is eternal, always. So there's always the Miku pedal. I have 2 pedals that are technically 3 pedals that are always on. One is the compressor. I have a compressor from a company called Empress Effects in Canada, bass compressor Mark II. And this is always on, so without it, it's just. And then with it on. Just kind of helps tighten things up, gel things always. So I always have that on. Probably, and then the other pedal I have on is this preamp pedal to make the bass like sound like it's in an amp. It's called the Trickfish Minnow company. I don't remember where they're from, but I think they're stateside. Without it, the bass will just sound like you're plugging it into a stereo. And then with it,
it really opens it up a bit more.
yeah, it's like playing through an amp. Really would be. Really just fills in a lot of information. And then probably my favorite pedal just overall, besides the ones that are always on out of necessity, is my octave. I'm fortunate enough to have a really rare, at this point, octave pedal from a company called 3-Leaf Audio. It's called the Octave. It's a Tim LaFave signature pedal. Tim LaFave being one of my favorite bass players. He recorded on David Bowie's Black Star, done stuff with Donnie McCaslin, and just is an overall really great session bassist. And he has this octave signature pedal that is like an OC2, which is used to be like the octave pedal for bass players, but they don't make the OC2 anymore, so they were getting scooped up, prices were going crazy, and they're, from the 80s, we need something new. And so this Octave is out. So it adds that lower octave in there. And there's also a sub switch, so I can just do sub mode. So that's my bread and butter right there. And then I also, my favorite pedal that I don't use a lot, I have a ring mod from a company called Fairfield Circuitry, another Canadian company. I have a lot of Canadian stuff, I realized. I think half my board is Canadian at this point. It's something about the weather, I guess. They make a ring mod called the Randy's Revenge that is just incredible. I use it as either
Granny's Revenge?
Randy's Revenge.
Oh, I was like,
that would be a fun name for a pedal, though.
Granny's Revenge?
Yeah.
What would that sound like?
So that's like tremolo mode, and then you switch it over to ring mod mode, and it gets weird.
That sounds pretty cool.
The fun thing to do with ring mods is you tune them, so you basically find a note. Or a fifth in this case. A lot of fun stuff you can do with the ring mod. It's kind of basically a very fast tremolo that tunes to a pitch because, as Adam Neely once put it, music is wiggly air, and it's very true because sound is essentially how fast a frequency vibrates, and the higher the pitch, the higher the frequencies, or the higher the numbers of ups and downs, the higher the pitch. So as you raise the frequency, you raise the pitch. So ring mods are fun.
Getting intrigued. What other pedals do you have? Let's just do them all.
It's so many.
You just sit here all day, just listen to every single pedal you have there.
For real.
You said how many pedals you have on the board there now?
14, I think you said.
Yeah, 14 right now.
You said you had 20 something before?
Yeah, I don't have a picture available, but I think it was 21 was the max.
Jeez.
It was kind of excessive.
Do you have a brand that you love more than any other pedal?
Yeah, well, I mean, I love a lot of different pedals, but Fairfield Circuitry up in Canada is probably my favorite, all-around pedal company. I own 4 of their pedals, actually, and 2 3-leaf audio pedals. So between those two, they're probably my favorite.
So what are your favorite bass players of all time? 5, and you have to name 5 at least.
5.
At least 5. Okay.
I know Flea is one of them, right?
Yeah, Flea. John Entwistle, when I started playing, Flea was number 1 to start, and then John Entwistle was number 2, because I remember one of the first times I was exposed to a bass solo. I think the first time I heard a bass solo was listening to The Who in my dad's van, and he was check out this song, and it came on the radio, the classic rock station, and it was My Generation.
Aww.
And when all of a sudden you hear the you hear all that, you're like, whoa, bass can do that. And so that was like the junior version of bass can do that for me before Flea came out in my thing. But Flea, John Entwistle, Thundercat is also in there. Michael League from Snarky Puppy.
Oh, and, that's a good one.
Yeah, and Pino Palladino. Pino's my soul bassist, like, not just because he plays soul music, but because he is like what I want to do in my soul all the time, and am trying to accomplish, basically. I want to do the crazy shred stuff like Thundercat. I want the spirit of Flea. I want the aggressiveness of John Entwistle. I want the taste and pizzazz of Michael League, but I want the soul of Pino always.
Oh,
Nice.
I love that. I love that description, Eric. So good and deep, and it's like, oh yeah, I can see the passion for bass, coming from like the way you describe it.
Yeah. Thanks.
So what was you're welcome, thank you. And what was the first song that you played on bass that you were like super proud, and you're like, Dad, Mom, look, this is what I can do now on the bass?
Probably Danny California. I remember the first song I learned on bass is because they were popular at the time. There's a song from 3 Days Grace. I think it was Animal I've Become, or I can't remember which song it was, but it starts with like I think it's whatever that yeah, I think it's Animal I've Become. So that was like the first song I learned because my dad had a 5-string bass lying around. My dad picked up bass when I started playing guitar after a year or so, because I influenced him to pick it up too. But my dad works 12+ hour days, and he just couldn't practice, like I could as being a kid.
Shout out to dads. My dad has my bass, my first bass ever, and he still plays it on his,
That's awesome.
Yes. So it's like, it's the love there. And it sounds like we grew up like the similar, driving with our dad, having really fucking good music playing in the background of our childhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the soundtrack, absolutely. And yeah, same thing. My dad had like Physical Graffiti from Zeppelin, Audio Slaves Out of Exile.
Your dad's so cool.
He is. My dad's awesome. I definitely was exposed to a lot of stuff, mainly because of my dad. And now, later in life, we share stuff. He'll send me something like, check this thing out. And then I'm like, okay, but check this out. And he's like, okay, but what about this? And then it's kind of like, it hasn't happened as frequently recently just because work's just been so crazy. But that's what my dad and I do. And we're hoping to see, I got tickets for us to go see Primus here in a couple weeks.
Whoa.
So he's seen Primus from back in the day, like in the 90s.
He's an original.
He's OG. Yeah,
Yes.
he's OG Primus. He's met Les and those guys before. So I have not seen Primus yet, so can't wait for that. But what was that? Oh, yeah. But yeah, Danny California was the first bass tune I ever learned, and was like, Dad, check this out.
Oh, that's so good.
And all that stuff. So, yeah, that was the first tune that I was like, yeah, I can do that. It took a while, definitely, but I cut my teeth to a lot of Stadium Arcadium. That was a really formative album for me.
And now he plays it with ease.
Yeah, I was like, I could play Dream Theater. Watch me. And Primus. So which is do you play Primus for your dad? And like what is the one song that you think makes your dad the most proud?
That I can play for him? I don't wonder. I know one song my dad really wanted to learn how to play, and I think he learned how to play it at one point. There's a band called, there's another album that my dad would play regularly, band called Mad Season. You familiar with them?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Just the other day, I had Matt Skirfield play. He played River of Deceit. Mad Season, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, so
That's
like
crazy.
Mad Season, does he love Temple of the Dog too?
Not as much Temple of the Dog stuff, but I think my dad likes Alice in Chains a fair amount.
So he's a
one of my
grunger.
dad's.
He's a grunge guy then.
Yeah, but like the more like, introspective stuff. My dad's not a big Nirvana guy.
Yeah. Me,
really
I was completely Soundgarden was my heart growing up.
Love Soundgarden. Ben Cameron on or is it Ben Cameron?
Yeah.
I think Ben Cameron.
Oh no, Shepard. Ben Shepard and
Ben Shepard.
Yeah. Matt Cameron is the drummer. He's the reason why I started playing drums when I was 16. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. You just married the both of them together.
Well, they're so perfect. Like they just had that marriage of bass and drums together in Soundgarden. I don't think Soundgarden. I mean, Chris Cornell, of course, needs no introduction or qualifying whatsoever. Fucking Chris Cornell is amazing, always will be. But I don't think Soundgarden as a unit would have worked as well without Matt Cameron's drumming really supporting everything.
Yeah.
He was so perfect at propelling the band along that Soundgarden, because Soundgarden's earlier stuff didn't have Matt on it. I forget the name of I forget who was with them originally, and he wasn't bad by any means, but Matt has a soul that worked really well with the soul of the band and with Chris. And then when Ben came on board too, them and Kim all together, like that was just such a powerful blend of people, and I always dig that.
And Hiro Yakamoto was the original bass player.
That's right, yeah, Yakamoto, and he was great too.
Yeah.
But like there was a special chemistry when when Bad Motorfinger came out and Super Unknown. I still like love playing so many of those songs on bass. One of these days I'm going to learn Face Pollution because it's one of my favorite Soundgarden
Oh my God,
tunes.
yes. It's
so wild. There's like a little
oh my God, those are all the songs that I tried to learn growing up, and it's
those like
oh yes, Ben Shepard, and with his low bass. Oh my God, yeah, he's one of the reasons why I love bass so much. So you're just talking my language. So you're like our new best friend because you love Dream Theater and Soundgarden, and those are our favorite bands. Like if you was to marry our favorite bands.
That's awesome. Yeah, and maybe for the end of the show, I'll have to try doing a Dream Theater tune. Maybe
I hope so. If you can,
no pressure.
If you can. But yeah, I totally agree with that. But Mad Season, oh my God, that from start to finish, it's just one of those like just dark and deep songs from beginning to end. Every song has, oh yeah.
When my dad learned that song on bass, I could tell he was just lighting up because he's like he could do it, and it was a song I really liked. And of course, that song is amazing. Just everyone involved on that, but especially I'm blanking name. Alice in Chains is Lane Staley. Just oh my God, like that whole album is really good. But especially like just all the performance stuff from Lane and everyone involved. I think that had was Matt Cameron on drums on that, or was it
it was Mad Season and also Temple of the Dog is like a combination of like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam. So it's like and they were all tribute bands when their friends passed away, like and Andy Wood. That's where that came from. The whole Temple of the Dog. That was the last tour I saw with Chris Cornell. So
oh man,
yeah. And then also when Jeff Buckley died, he wrote a song for Jeff Buckley. And so like that's where all these projects came from, because the guys from Seattle, they were so close knitted and they were all like brothers. So when one passed away, it was like they all got together, collabed, and made all these songs to heal together. So
and just the awfulness of the heroin epidemic and everything, and all the just depression and stress and everything involved in that community, just it rang through the whole community, at least outside looking in for me. So naturally all those people are just so tight knit, and it's just such an emotional thing, an emotional bond. Those Screaming Trees, that's right, yeah, the Screaming Trees. It was Barrett and Martin. I didn't remember which drummer they originally had, but
Mike McCready was from Pearl Jam. And Mike McCready, So we were talking about that. Yeah, we were talking about that in Mass Fields, because he was like, oh yeah, Yen, what song do you want to play? I'm like, you know what? The other day I was thinking of Mad Season, and I never hear you play Mad Season or anyone really. And he was like, wow, that's a good request. And then he played River of the Sea, and then yeah, so that's funny that you mentioned that, because that was just 2 days ago.
That's crazy.
So,
yeah,
it's like the synchronicities, so that's pretty cool.
Man.
So yeah, so what was the initial question? I think because we always end up going different directions when we start talking about it. I think we did the 5 top bass players, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what was the last concert that you attended? And did you ever go well, you said you went to a concert with your dad, right? And the next concert, what's the next concert you're planning on going?
The last concert I went to first was Ginger. Actually, I saw Ginger, and they came to Fort Wayne, which was really fun. They're I'm not much of a like extreme metal guy at all. Like, I respect it deeply, but it's not like my main hang. You know, I'm mainly in the funk and soul stuff now, and hip hop and rock and experimental stuff. But I still like to get down with like some metal stuff, you know. And I saw Ginger live because they're amazing musicians, and it was a really good show. That was the last one I went to. Pre-COVID, I think the last show I went to was Pinback, which that was also incredible. I love Pinback. And then the next show that I'm going to is probably going to be that Primus show with my dad, hopefully here in the next few weeks. So that's what we're looking forward to. That's going to be Primus playing a Farewell to Kings from Rush, like doing that whole album and then playing Primus stuff. So I'm just like, I get to see Primus. I get to see Les. Because like every bassist that gets into technical sides of things, you gotta love Les. Les is just such a great dude and such a crazy bassist and just, you know, wicked talented. And I want to see that man do his crazy, you know, like weird dancing bass stuff live.
I want to hear you play a Primus song now.
Oh God, I can't do much. I mean, Primus is really tricky to do properly, but I mean, there's always trying to do the Tommy the Cat. Something like that.
Something like that.
That's my next emote.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
I say that a lot.
But yeah, Primus is incredible, and I just wish I could always. I try to get a just iota of Les's creativity when he does all of his craziness. So Les is, you know, unique through and through.
So you said you're a session drummer. I mean, session bass player. Damn it!
Session on drums.
Well, you know, there's so many drummers on the podcast, but
right.
You know, I always say bass players and drummers are my faves. So you know, I had to get more bass players. And when I went scouting, because I go and watch so many streams, and I get a lot of recommendations, and I gotta say, like, there's a lot of musicians that start off with really small, minimal, like one camera or just one light. Just the other week we were talking about this on a late night, because we have late night shows sometimes, and we just discuss topics, and we also have call-ins on Discord. We're planning on doing one tomorrow, and we usually have fun doing them because we get feedback on different topics that people probably, you know, just want to talk back and forth about. So we're talking about setups, and we're talking about how sound is really the most important thing, right? And a lot of things is a lot of streamers feel like, oh, we need this, we need the glitter, we need everything first. And it's like, no, the sound, the skills, the talent is the most important thing I notice all the time. And of course, you know, the personality, the way I see somebody interacts with their community, the warmth when you go into a streamer's stream and everyone's just chatting, and either when it's intimate and it's not a big crowd, I love that too, because then you become more involved, I guess, in the conversations and the vibe of everyone in the conversation in a smaller streamer, right? So we were talking about it because let's see if I could find it. I think I even took a screenshot of it just to make a point. I think it was. Or maybe it's gonna be hard to find. It's always harder to find when I'm trying to find it on the spot. But yeah, because I take a lot of pictures. So you know, like the screenshot was of our friend Ray Musica, and he's one of the most amazing streamers, drummers here on Twitch. And I remember when I had him on the podcast, he just had he didn't have 1,000 people following yet. He was really new. And I always like to cater and try to find people that I'm like, oh, he's so special, he's so good, he's starting to stream here and everyone should know him. So, you know, I bring him in and he had one camera, a setup with the drums, amazing drummer, warm, sweet guy. I mean, I was like, this guy's gonna grow so fast, right? And then fast forward and he's having front page. He has 5 cameras now. Amazing, you know. But the thing is that the flavor and everything was there from the very, very beginning when he had just one camera and it was very small setup. So when I look at other people that can have all the things and the lights and the whistles, but it's or they don't chat at all with the chat, or there's just always an event, their mood is different all the time, and it's just with you. I go in there and it's always good vibes. It's always you're smiling, you're having a good time, and then you answer everyone's question when they talk about music. You're very passionate about it, and you were saying, "Oh, I'm moving," and then we started kind of teasing about "Oh, what about that painting in the background? What is that?" And we were and then I tell you, that day I saw a bunch of different streams. And they were all bass players because I had Greer on. He was telling me, oh, and for some reason, everybody was on that day. And
the stars aligned.
Yeah, yes, it did, because, and I was like, oh, and I went to your stream, and I had gone already to 3 or 4, and then I got just drawn into how fucking good you are on the bass, and it was just craziness. You were just just going everywhere, and I'm like, this guy got. And then I had to get you on, I had to get you on.
Yeah.
But you were like, oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like this or that. I know you're and we were just talking, and I was like, no, you shouldn't even feel that way, because it's you that people watch and hear, and the way everything, the tone sounds beautiful, and all your guitars. So I guess where I'm going at is you have everything it takes to be super successful and big on Twitch. So do you feel there's goals that you want to focus on this year that maybe you feel you said you got that base from Twitch, all your followers and stuff. So do you have any set goals for this year that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think for me, my biggest goal right now, aside from I have two major goals in mind. My biggest goal is moving away from doing covers, and it's a big goal because it's what I've done forever. My musical memory at this point, I've realized, is kind of a selling point for people, because people can, it's a joke now at work, even now with my coworkers, where one of my coworkers runs a YouTube channel and called The Gear Cage, where he does music gear reviews, and he's been in Sweetwater for 15 years now.
Oh wow.
And so he has a lot of experience with working in pro studios, designing pro studios, and everything from people starting out to I'm Joe Schmo in big top studio, I need this converter now, and he's like, yeah, he knows what's up. So he has a YouTube channel where he's been integrating stuff, and we've been joking that I'm going to go on the YouTube channel with him, and the episode is just going to be him shouting out songs, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that one, and then I start playing it, and
that's so cool.
That's the whole bit. So I'm trying to adapt my identity away from just the guy that knows a lot of songs, even though that's a good selling point, but it's a bad monetary point because of DMCA concerns going into the future. Without getting on a whole depressing side note about DMCA, the long short of it is that DMCA is not going to go away unless Twitch does something drastic, which they're working on, maybe they're not, who knows. But in reality, it's really not going to go away, and there's always going to be that looming like dark cloud of, you know, what happens if I play this, you know, label's music and they just take my channel down, or, you know, and I lose my monetary source or something. So while I'm at the point where I'm not relying on this for income in any reason, you know, this is just fun. This is a stress relief now from work. I want to be able to, if it's at all possible, if this is going to go anywhere, like to a livable level, or at least a more like, you know, successful level, I guess. I don't know. I no matter what, I'm going to do what I want to do, but I want to do something that also is conducive to people that are watching, that they enjoy. Like you mentioned, having a good vibe, that's definitely priority number one for me. Like people just come in and chill and hang out, and, you know, I like people that lurk. Lurkers are the greatest. Love you, lurkers.
Yeah, lurkers matter.
Yeah.
I love my lurkers.
That's what I've been doing on Twitch forever, and was just on TV. I just, you know, lurk and watch and have it on the background maybe. So, but I want to do that in a way that's going to be conducive to growth instead of just kind of stalling out. And the only way to do that is to start doing original stuff and not relying on any copyrighted stuff. So, I have, this is really sad, but I bought a drum machine that I have not used once since I bought it, and it's a really nice one too. I got a really killer deal on an Electron Digitact or Digitact, and it's sitting right over there, plugged in, ready to go. But I haven't used it because I haven't learned how to use it yet. And the idea is that I learn how to do drum loops live, and then I have a looper that I also haven't really used. It's still even hooked up to my board.
So you're gonna try to go into like the looping stuff?
Oh, do it, yeah. Eric, do it.
But I want to do loops that are interactive. I one of my favorite Twitch channels in music land in general, which I don't think I haven't checked to see the entire backlog of guests that you guys have had on here. But one person I definitely recommend reaching out to if at all possible. His name's the Etc. Kid. Have you seen his?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I adore is he doing more like lives again? Because I know he was gonna do some tour like traveling. Right? That was the last time I heard of.
I'm not sure because I haven't been watching Twitch like I used to. Mm-hmm. I would so I've been out of the loop on Etc. Kid's like recent stuff, but whenever I was able to tune into a stream, like if he was streaming, I was probably going to have it on at some point because he's just magical with what he does. He wrote a whole program to like dissect a name and make a drum beat and a drum pattern. Then he takes that and puts it in and adjusts it and performs on top of everything, and it's so cool. I want to do something, not like I want to do that, but I want to do something similarly where I could have Twitch chat interact and shape the loops. I just don't know. It's all up here. It just needs to be out here. And with work, I just really haven't had any time to flesh it out and really like explore it to its conclusion. And I'm the type of person where I get really self-conscious about what I'm doing because I want it to be like the best it can be before anyone listens to it. Like I don't like my family listening to me play bass because it's like, you know, I'm still working on it. Don't listen. I suck right now.
No, but I know how it feels. I mean, I have so many amazing, incredible streamers and musicians on here, and I don't stream Rocksmith because I'm like, come on, like I have the best of the best. What do they want to listen to me practice stuff, right. You know? But it's fun. If it's fun and your community is having a good time. Etc. Kid was one of the first streamers that I followed, but I've always felt like he was just like some type of godlike streamer that I was like, oh, like would he even be on my like, because you know that was in the very, very beginning, and I remember seeing him, and man, he's like a genius. He really is. Oh, yeah. And the way
super cool dude.
Yeah, super nice. But I don't see him as much. I remember he started doing a lot of replays, like like what do you call those, VODs?
The Twitch replay stuff.
I remember one time, I think it was when we had Mr. Greggles, we rated him and it was a VOD.
Oh yeah. Oh no!
Oh yeah.
Yes. And I was excited because I was like, "Oh my god, I love him! He's actually live!" And then when
It was
we went,
a rerun.
it was like a rerun. It was a VOD, and then I was like, "Oh man!" I was like, I got like debated because I got excited, and then so it was like, but I'm like, go follow him anyways because he's amazing.
Oh yeah, Greggles is awesome. I mean, aside from aside from just his drumming, which is really really solid, he's a really nice dude. He's got a really technical like brain and mind for Twitch streams. His whole multicam like bullet time setup still just like excites me. Just like I'm like, oh my god, he actually did it. Like doing that type of thing.
I get so
he's
excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's blown up a lot, like with drum companies and stuff like that as of late. Like he just got signed on to Meinl and Meinl Sticks and what else? A few other microphone company that he got signed on
Rode
for.
Probably, or
it wasn't Rode, it was a different one, which was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rode kind of is like I like Rode's people seem really conducive to streaming. One of my other favorites that is he likes to credit me a lot, which is really humbling. But he's he does what he does, and he's really popular because of what he does. Oh, raid time!
Oh,
Alpine raid!
What's up, fam? Alpine from Germany. He is a drummer and a maker of so many things. This guy, talking about geniuses. We were just talking about geniuses. He makes and creates so many different things, from like cowbells he calls smooth bells that are electric cowbells.
Yeah, he cuts the top off of a cowbell and puts like the pads that he 3D prints on top of.
He does 3D
with
printing.
like his logo and all that, and then he runs the wire and the Pezio sensor so that it works with MIDI and stuff like that. So
yeah, kind of like there's a really talented upright bassist that doesn't really play upright much anymore. His name's That One Guy. Mm-hmm. He does. He's actually kind of like a nomadic personality. I discovered him through the guitarist Buckethead. I saw like a double billing of him. Yeah, I was big into Buckethead before I got into Dream Theater. That's where the technicality stuff started, with Buckethead and Steve Vai, and then just kind of like Dream Theater, and I was like, get into that stuff. But That One Guy is one of those creative type people that was just tired of the monotony of like the session work he did. He's a classically trained upright bassist and was a really creative dude. So when he graduated from I think Berkeley or wherever, he was just like, you know what, I don't want to play in symphonies, I don't want to do these jazz gigs, I want to do weird stuff. And he put a contact mic in a PVC tube and like controls a lot of things. He has like all these MIDI triggers all the way around this thing called the Magic Stick that he plays with, and the Magic Pipe. They're like one and the same, and you'd have to see a video of it. There's a great intro to That One Guy. Go on YouTube and type in butt machine.
Butt machine.
Oh my god.
That's the song you listen to when you're like, what's that one guy? It's like, oh, it's that guy that does the butt song. Like a butt song. Yeah, butt machine. Like, okay.
Butt machine.
So speaking of, I don't want to say but I think for the raid, we should do another song. So what song are you going to play for the raid? And it has to be, actually, let's play a song that has some booty shaking in it,
Some booty shaking.
Yeah.
I can do something funky.
Funky, yes.
All right.
All right, let's do it. Thank you so much for the raid, Alpine.
Alpine said I actually saw that guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
The butt machine guy?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's super nice. Like one of those guys you meet after a show and he's just like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks for coming out. Like, yeah, man. How's it going? Just the nicest type of person you could ask for.
All right, let's get funky with Eric Plays Bass.
Let's do a classic since we're DMCA is on the table. So let's do some Chili Peppers. How about that? I would do Dream Theater, but it's not gonna rump shake anything, I don't think. So let's do a little throwback.
I'm talking about, baby. Let's go.
That last riff, that's a fun riff.
Oh yeah, I love that song. That's one of those ones as a kid, just like, how does he do that? And then eventually you're like, oh, it's like that.
That's literally my little guy's favorite song ever. Like, because he wants to be a world traveler and he also wants to be a drummer. But I gotta say, like, that song is, I can see why it's so fun, right? Who doesn't love that song?
Absolutely. If you don't, shame on you.
Yes. Yeah, that's my doggo. Yeah, so I see, I know it's in the background there. That's not a doggo, right? Or is a cat? Your mascot.
Oh, Showbone, yeah. Showbone's a cat.
It's a cat,
kind of thing.
So how did that come about? All right, let me show you the emotes.
Oh, Showbone almost took a dip. Showbone is a Japanese mascot character. I'm pretty sure the origin, this is a little bit how ignorant I am, I guess. Yeah, there they all are. And then there's my face. Showbone is based on this kind of viral sensation called Cinnabon Action, which was like a Mario ROM hack type of thing, or Mario inspired flash game in Japan. I think it was at one point just like, a thing on, was it Nico Duga, or however you pronounce that, the NND, which is like Japan's YouTube basically. And this was like just a meme. And Cinnabon Action's cat got shrunk down to just the head basically, and it was called Showbone. And you can actually get like the real Showbone plushes in Japan, but they don't import them to the States. And I wanted one because this character is very mimetic, I guess you could say, in general. I spent a lot of time on 4chan in college and beyond a little bit, so like that type of like culture on the anime board anyway was very like tongue-in-cheek, and just like, Showbone was used in like just like depressing ways basically. So I like the Showbone character. It's a mascot character, and I couldn't get the real thing. So I have a friend, her name's Julia. She's really good at like sewing and like making plushes and stuff, like good enough that you would see her stuff on like Etsy and she would be like a top selling shop easy. But for anyone that does any type of Etsy related things, the time and money spent into doing what you do is very hard to be competitive in, because to do the quality, to up the quality, you kind of have to do it by hand. But to do it by hand, you're putting in a lot of work, you're spending a lot of materials. It's a very tough thing to do. So I commissioned her to make the Showbone, which ended up being a lot larger than they normally are.
Wow.
It's pretty big, but yeah, this is
Looks very cozy, and it's very big now. It's called marshmallow pillows, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I'm ahead of the curve maybe, but yeah, Showbone.
So custom made Showbone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Just full of fluff and stuff.
I love it. It's so cute.
When people like, especially when my channel was like really like just thriving with during COVID times, when everyone's at home and stuff, I would have redemptions for channel points that would be like pat Showbone, punch Showbone, kiss
Punch
Showbone. And there was just like all sorts of Showbone related things. So
Your mascot.
Yes, stream mascot.
Oh, that's great. So cool. So guys, if you have any questions for Eric Plays Bass, let us know. He's also a representative of Sweetwater. So we were talking about that earlier. So if you missed it, watch the replay, because he was talking about how it is working for Sweetwater. But yeah, he's an amazing bass player. As you can see, like he's crazy on the bass, and that's why I had to get him on. So you guys can see one question that is usually really fun, and I know you're a session drummer and you used to play in a lot of shows and a lot of covers. Which was your worst and best show? And if you can tell us the dirty details and like something really funny that happened at one of your shows, then we like to share the best and worst moments.
I'll have to finish this first.
What is it that you're drinking?
Yeah, well, and are you sponsored?
All the questions at once. Go.
This is Bell's Oberon, my favorite beer of choice.
Oh, it has a sun. That's cute. American.
This is a brewery in Kalamazoo, Michigan, so kind of local-ish. But this really doesn't need any introduction to many beer drinkers out there, because this is a very popular like summer beer. But for those not familiar with it, it's a wheat beer, or American wheat ale. Good amount of alcohol in it, almost 6%, which is, yeah. I like getting beer that is going to get me there quicker than drinking a lot. So it's cheaper that way in general, and you get better beer.
In Canada, I think it's stronger too. So do you like Canadian
beer?
Yeah.
I can't think of any Canadian beer that I drink regularly. Yeah, I know, with all the Canadian pedals I have.
I would think.
But yeah, Bell's in general is like my favorite brewery. They just, everything they put out is great. Founders is another good one. I have some Founders breakfast stout in my fridge right now. And then back home in Toledo, there's Maumee Bay Brewing Company in Toledo that does a lot of really great beers. Namely, their Total Eclipse Breakfast Stout is just outstandingly good. And
Alpine. Alpine was having, well, he's from Germany, so I mean, you can imagine he had the best beer over there, right? I mean, I don't drink anymore, but I remember when I used to be into crafts and stuff back in the day, I used to always go for the German beer because I always feel like they just do it better. I don't know. But then I never tried what you're drinking, so I don't know. But
it's never been
I never had a bad experience when I used to drink, and I used to have a lot of German beer.
Yeah.
So those are your go-to for a stream. Do you have like a ritual that you do? Do you have like one?
No. I mean, I try to like. I mean, if I don't have to drink for like, I mean, I don't have to drink, but if I'm not like planning on drinking, then I just won't drink. But so I don't have like a ritual, like, oh, I got to do a shot, before a stream or something.
No, we don't condone doing that. Those don't end well. We had a friend. No. We've seen things.
Yeah. I used to play in a band that, had the ritual of, hey, we got to do a shot before we go on stage. And that actually, you meant the original
segue.
question was,
is this a segue?
Worst gig. Yeah. The original question being what was my best and what was my worst gig. One of my best gigs. I can picture a best gig moment. I don't know if I can picture a best gig. Oh, no, I can't. There is a best gig, actually. But one of my favorite gigs looking back, there's an island out on Lake Erie called Put-in Bay. I usually now refer to it as Put Out Bay because
okay. You don't have to explain that one to me.
Yeah.
It says it itself, right?
Yeah, it's yucky. It's gross.
It's yuck.
That's the kid version. So
okay.
It's yucky. Don't go there. But I used to play on there fairly often. And I remember the first time I got drunk was on that island, and it was the best because it's like 3 a.m. The pizza place down the road was still open. You're having pizza the first time you're really drunk in your life. And you're just
I thought he was gonna say the first time. You.
No, that's the after hours.
All right.
No.
After hours with Eric, guys, on his stream.
Late night.
Onlyfans.com.
No. Hey, there's all kinds out there, for everyone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no shame. But yeah, like, after the bars were closed, but you still had like the good buzz going on, you go eat pizza, and that was like the ritual for the band I was playing with. We get done playing. Forget that. Okay, this
he
is
can't even say it now.
Sorry,
he's getting pink. He's blushing now.
One of my favorite gig moments was with that band. They're an excellent band. They're still out there too. Their name's Breaking Ground. If you're ever in the Toledo area, go see Breaking Ground live. Excellent band. It's a couple brothers and a guy that's basically like a brother, all performing together. They do 4-part harmonies sometimes. They're incredible musicians. One of my favorite drummers in general to play with. But anyway, the vocalist is kind of a wild guy. His name's Danny, and
Danny guy.
Yeah, after the gig we played the first night, Danny got, I'm pretty sure, blackout drunk, and I'll try to save as many details as I can that aren't relevant, but
you need the details, guys.
Yeah, our hotel was above a Subway restaurant, and so what we could do is go down and get Subway and then take it up to our hotel and and vibe and chill and whatever, and then I remember seeing I'm like taking my stuff upstairs because I'm paranoid. I don't want to leave even though we're there for the weekend, I don't want to leave my shit on the stage for anyone to mess with, because and just want to make sure,
Right.
And I'm grabbing my gear, I'm like tearing it down for the night and taking it up to the hotel room, and I just remember seeing Danny in line, getting a Subway sandwich, and I'm just like, oh, hey, what up, man? And he's just like, yeah, what's up? Getting a Subway sandwich, and then I'm still packing up, and then I go out to get my pizza. I come back, it's been like 30 minutes, and Danny's in bed just passed out holding the sub sandwiches.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
Like, he didn't even take a bite. He just fell asleep with it. Oh, man.
He took like 3 bites and he's out. And it was just, I remember seeing that. I'm like, yeah, I made it. This is great.
That could have gone so many bad ways.
Oh, no, yeah, it was totally fine. It was really, we were all really chill. And it was just funny. But the best gig I ever had, and I even have this in my Sweetwater bio. If anyone goes on Sweetwater and checks out my biography on there, the best show I ever did was literally like perfection basically all the way across. I opened for Blues Traveler.
La 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 la.
Yeah.
I remember Mr. Jones. You opened up for them? That's so cool.
Oh no, not Mr. Jones. That's Counting Crows.
Oh, Counting.
Yeah.
Wait, which is Blues Traveler?
They did.
No. Okay, go ahead. All right, I got my.
I'm trying to remember what the song was.
It wasn't Mr. Jones. No, it wasn't.
It was. They did the song Hook, where it was. I can't remember.
I'm cracking up inside. Wait, so that's Counting Crows, Blues Travelers.
Yeah, similar like era, you know.
Yeah,
of
like
music and
the
stuff.
voice, right? I know.
Yeah.
I was a grunge girl. I'm not ashamed.
Run Around was probably one of their biggest hits too. Yeah, they did Run Around and Hook were their like two big ones back in the day. And John Popper is the main vocalist for Blues Traveler, and he did he's the crazy harp guy. He's got like a bandolier of harps and like cases of blues harps and stuff, and he's just always like, he's a monster harmonica player. But we opened for him as a band I was in at the time, and still like am in basically because the band is like a session thing, like a la like Steely Dan or something. There's a really great singer-songwriter back home in Toledo named Ryan Dunlap. He's a good friend of mine and just a really great musician, and I would always be his first call bassist whenever he did a full band thing. And we had the opportunity to open for Blues Traveler, and in Toledo at the outdoor venue called Hensville, which is, if anyone in Toledo lore, there's the Toledo Mud Hens, which is the baseball team there, and they had an outdoor like venue for shows and everything, and we opened for them to a packed house, or packed lawn, so it was like, I don't know, like 4,000 people. Picture perfect summer day. It was like 78 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Just like, it was amazing. Everything went perfectly. I did a bass solo and didn't really fuck up like majorly. So it was just like the best it could be. So that was like one of the best days. And that was that tippy top. It was all downhill from there.
Oh man.
Worst gig now. Okay.
Hey, Scarfield.
Careful. What up, Matt? Worst gig ever. Oh man, I've had some bad gigs. Anyone that's been doing it now. I've been playing out and about now for about 10 years, so I've had a few shows.
You have a few.
I don't know. Some of the worst gigs. I mean, weren't too many like downer shows. One of the toughest gigs I had was when the drummer it was like a pickup gig, and it was one of those gigs where we both like played at a not packed place or anything. It was a very small venue and not many people there. Actually, in this case, it was a large venue and there weren't many people there, so it was very depressing already. But it was a pickup gig, so like the songs were all songs that were just like, hey, it's EAD, over and over again, and then something like that, or GDC. And the drummer hadn't really prepared for the show and wasn't that great of a drummer already. So it was also someone I had kind of personal beef with on top of that. So like,
he had beef with you? What he do to you? What he do? Let me at him.
It's a long story. I'm already on a tangent, but
we're here for it.
Yeah, it involved a bass that was being sold online and was being misrepresented. I'll leave it at that. And he tried to scam me a little bit.
He didn't get them facts,
so
right? Oh, he's trying to scam you?
Kinda, yeah. It's the short version of it. There's more details.
We need names. No, I'm just kidding.
It was already
from this man.
I was already like that, but it was a rough gig. It was a rough time. But I don't know. I haven't had too many like really bad gigs. Most of the time.
Did you ever like have a fight on stage with and then like break it up?
I never got in a fight on stage or anything. But
did you witness one?
Yeah, well, almost. I mean, there's plenty of bar fights that happened while I was playing over the years. I used to play downtown Toledo a lot, and just someone's like, "Hey, get off my girl!" No, it's my girl, or whatever, dudes being dudes, I guess. So, bros being bros. But I remember one of my it was probably one of my first gigs, actually. I think it was like gig number 5 or 6 probably for me ever. And the drummer that at the time I just met him he's a really great dude. Name's Justin, and Justin's super cool, one of my like funniest dudes I know, and really nice dude. But he was going through some stuff at the time. He had some health problems, and it was like impacting him playing and impacting his mood. And we were playing at this hole in the wall bar that they kept complaining it was too loud. And like, it's like, first of all, you hired us knowing we're a rock band. We do 90s covers. Like, we're a rock band of 4 pieces with drums. Like, it's gonna be loud. Like, you hired us. This is the owner that was complaining it was too loud. And then second of all, we're already playing, like, not even through the PA. We're not playing through anything. We're just playing with stage volume. And we're playing as quiet as we can possibly do. And we really were. We were playing very quiet. But they kept complaining, and even after we like went as quiet as we could, they kept complaining. And so the drummer got up and was like in the face of the owner and was like, "What do you mean I'm too loud?" And just like, they were kind of like almost pushing each other. And I just remember I'm just like standing there like, what's going on? So it was a rough one, but he's like, again, like one of my favorite people. He's awesome. And, the gig went on. It was fine after a while. He didn't get kicked out that night. So.
Wow. Yeah, that happens. That happens to a lot of people, I guess, when they're in that situation. But, I mean, they know what they were getting, so I can see why.
Nothing frustrates me more than a bar owner not understanding what's at stake. Like, it's the bar's responsibility to get people in the door. It's not the band's responsibility. Like, I think there's a lot of bad blood with how, like, musicians are treated, especially younger musicians and people, like, trying to do originals. Like, they do. So I think, like, it is, without getting a whole thing, but ticket sales are such a scam for so many artists starting out, because they could do everything in their power to expand their friends group and get people out the door, but a bar can still just say, "Oh, well, your friends didn't drink enough," or, "Oh, well, we weren't that busy tonight." And it's like, no, like, you should guarantee the band, and you should bring in people based on the good word of your established business. The band is going to bring in people regardless, but it's not their job to bring in the people. It's the venue's owner to bring in,
the word of mouth too. A good venue's gonna have like people coming in because they like the venue and the vibe of the venue, and good menus, good drinks for people. So and a safe environment too. Like, I can't tell you how many bars I played at where it's like, you're looking around like, I don't think I should be here. Like, I don't feel safe.
It's kind of rough. Yeah, I don't feel safe. And as the guy's a guy, and a little girl or someone, like, just so many weird places. But being a musician,
it's the life.
Yep.
So do you teach online? That's another thing, because you are a session drummer. Do you feel like are you able to teach, and do you want to teach?
I've wanted to in the past. I've always kind of stunted myself, and I've just kind of considered myself not to be a really great teacher. Like, I'm a good doer, but not a great, like, how to do it, or not a good teacher, I feel like, and I think it's a certain skill. I think people that can teach,
I like your honesty,
are really special. Sorry, what'd you say?
I like your honesty, because it's true. I think it's very true. You're either born to be like a teacher, someone that has patience. It's like being a parent. Not everyone can be a parent, right? So, I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Like, if you have patience, if you have like the willingness, and then you're probably a really good teacher. But some people they're honest. They're like, I don't know. I do the things I do, and I do them, but teaching someone else is like totally different for me. So I can't really teach. Like, I don't feel like I need, or I want to, or the desire to teach. So I'm just doing what I'm doing, and this is what I do.
Yeah. I don't want to devalue anyone's time, and like, I've had people like beg me to teach them, basically, because I'm very.
Because he's amazing.
Like, I'm pretty decent at it now, and then people look at me play, and they're like, "I want to do that," and I'm like, "That's awesome, but I can't really tell you how to do it. Like, I just do it. Like I'm not trained like formally. I took lessons on guitar. I've never took a lesson on bass. I think maybe I took like 1 or 2 with my guitar teacher, but I've never taken a bass lesson. You know, I watched YouTube videos. I listened to people. I have a really good ear in general. Like I don't have perfect pitch, but I think Adam Neely calls it like absolute pitch or something. It's between perfect and relative pitch. So, and I have just a good musical memory. Like you can tell me a song that I've heard, and I can probably tell you the key of the song, and you know, maybe I can't hum it, but I can play it, or I can I know, oh yeah, that song's in C and it goes like this kind of. It's just part of my brain, how it works. And that doesn't translate into showing someone how to like hold their hand or like how to do a note run or something. Like I mean, I probably could pick it up. I probably could spend time with it, but I've just never spent the time into learning how to show someone the basics, because I'm so beyond the basics of learning how to play that I just don't know how I did it. I just did it.
Yeah, I don't know how I do it. I just do it.
Yeah, I think at one point I was kind of doing the Dream Theater boot camp of spending at least 6 hours a day playing bass, because it's all I do. Like that's why I'm Eric Plays Bass. I play bass, and my name's Eric.
Hi, Eric.
I love it. Oh, so Matt Scurfield is the one I was telling you about, because he brought up Mad Season. He's like, do you know who Mad Season is? And I'm like, what? I was like, just the other day I was out one of our great friends, Matt Scurfield, that was on Front Page yesterday.
Front Page hype.
Heck yeah, he's amazing. Congrats. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's in Boston. He does amazing things in Boston. You guys just check him out. Just check him out. And yeah, so I was like, he was asking me, well, what do you want me to play? What would you like to hear? And I was like, you know what? I don't really hear a lot of Mad Season ever getting played. And then he started talking about Mad Season. I was like, it's like the world just aligned and we're all just in the same
It's all connected.
Yes. So that's pretty cool, because
we're
rare, I think. Yeah, we're kind of rare. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Eric Plays Bass. Amazing bass player. I mean, you did I don't know if you promised, but you said you were going to try to do a Dream Theater song to close off. But before that, I don't know. We're going to think about it. We're going to think about it. But
I'll try.
We do have one of the last songs, and if you guys have any questions for Eric, because he also works in Sweetwater, so if you guys have any complaints, no, I'm just kidding. Like, only good things. Only good things. Yeah. We still have Eric for a few minutes.
Can we get a discount?
You're just kidding about it.
The short answer is yes. The long answer is depends.
Oh, we gotta be extra nice. With you guys gotta go to his stream
and subscribe.
Watch him, subscribe, okay? Yeah. Follow and subscribe, and then who knows. But I gotta say, wow, like his skills. He's been playing since he was 9. Okay, he's a session drummer. I mean, again, session bass player. Damn it.
Now it's stuck in the brain.
Now it's up there now. Once you say it, that's it. And he's also in Ohio. And yeah, he's just telling us all about his setup and stuff. And I don't think you even mentioned all the axes, all the guitars and the basses that you have there, but you did talk about, you did mention your fretless bass and that you also play guitar. So we're gonna get to that. But yeah, what was the other thing? I was like, okay, so the last question I'll ask, I guess, after this song, and then we'll think about it. So which is the third song that you wanted to play, and then I'll give you the last question.
Fourth song.
Well, I'll do some Dream Theater. I just got to figure out which Dream Theater tune I can play.
I mean,
on 4-string,
The answer is yes.
Man, I don't know. I could try doing Lines in the Sand, but it's tough to do without the string, because it's in D. I could probably swing Constant Motion. My hands are not gonna like it, but I can do. I don't know.
What do you guys think?
Oh man.
Just for the fun.
I mean,
I used to know Erotomania. I could probably almost bust out that one. But oh man, I don't know.
So we'll let you think about it. So we'll let you think about it. So one of the questions I ask everyone is, and this for some reason I feel like this is gonna be easy for you because you seem like a music buff. You know about a lot of different music, and I didn't ask you what are your favorite because you said you're funky. You like a lot of like funk and also R&B. You said right. So that's interesting because I didn't, like I like hearing that people have this kind of fusion with their influences. So what are those? What are the main influences then when it comes to hip hop? Because I know you have the funk and the rock.
Yeah. With hip hop, I mean, Kendrick Lamar is a modern day just legend, of course. And To Pimp a Butterfly is one of my favorite albums of all time at this point. Just masterfully crafted hip hop inspired by like G-funk and funk and soul and R&B. I really love, there's an artist named A$AP Rock, really dig his stuff. He's very verbose, but like just very talented as well, but just very dense rhymes and patterns and stuff, but great instrumentals too. I love his album The Impossible Kid, and I've repeated that album many times. I really dig, there's a newer group called Injury Reserve. They do more experimental hip-hop stuff. One of the best shows I've ever been to was for a hip-hop group called Clipping. Clipping is an experimental like noise hip-hop group, kind of like not like Death Grips, and Death Grips is another hip-hop group I love, but tangentially more on the noise spectrum and the groove spectrum than Death Grips, I suppose, in some capacities. But Clipping was great. I saw them live like early on. They were touring their second album, opening for Bus Driver, who was another great hip-hop artist, legend in the underground hip-hop scene. And it wasn't Scallops Hotel, it was Milo was his name at the time. Now he's Rap Ferreira. No, he's Rory. He changes his rap name like all the time.
Oh man,
but he had an album called he I knew him as Milo, and he had an album called So the Flies Don't Come, which is really excellent hip hop. Definitely check that out. But it was him and Clipping and Bus Driver. Awesome show. I got slapped in the face accidentally by Bus Driver, and he kept apologizing throughout the night. It was funny. Like I was standing front row because it was a hype show, and I got up front, and he's like doing hand motions and shit, and I was in the blast zone, and he just accidentally like he's going, he just and I was right there, and it kind of hit me, and I didn't care. It was like it was my fault. I was standing close, but he just kept ruffling my head and stuff. Like, you okay? And I'm like,
you all right? Yeah, you all right? You good? You good?
It was funny. So he's a really talented dude, and let's see. Those are the main hip hop influences, I'd say. Those are the general ones for sure.
Oh wow, that's cool. I like that.
And like old school stuff too. Like I mean, I love Parliament and like old school funk. So a lot of hip hop that was based in that growing up. Snoop Dogg and like Dr. Dre, like that type of G-funk, West Coast stuff is always prevalent. Someone that like tangentially, this is just not even hip. She's not she kind of raps, but I don't know if I'd call her a rapper. But one of my favorite artists, like in R&B and soul, that kind of crosses between the two. Her name is Michelle Ndegeocello. She is phenomenally talented and very diverse, like spread of influences for her as well. She did a really great cover of Nick Drake's Pink Moon, which Nick Drake is one of my favorite artists of all time, in that upper echelon of Queens of the Stone Age and Death from Above. And then there's Nick Drake, which is totally unrelated to any of those people, but his influence has spread, whether consciously or unconsciously, to a lot of other musicians. And she did a great cover of Pink Moon, but she also does amazing bass-driven stuff because she's a bass player, and she has a signature model through my favorite guitar company, which is Reverend Guitars, based in Ohio.
And you need to get sponsored because plug.
Well, I'm in talks right now. Tomorrow night, hopefully, I'll know for sure. But I'm trying to buy my first Reverend actually. Tomorrow night. We'll see what happens.
I hope you get it.
Me too.
So.
All right. All right, let me try busting out constant motion. Okay. I'll give it a whirl. I can't guarantee it's going to sound good, but we're going to try it.
It's going to be YouTube. In you. I believe in you.
It's going to be YouTube quality too, on top of my mixer, which my mixer's great, but it's YouTube quality, so bear with me here. I got to find it here. I used to have the rip on my phone, but I updated my phone and forgot to put it on there. I guess it's this one. After an ad, of course. Advertisement. One more ad. Thanks, YouTube. Did everyone notice, by the way, that YouTube ads went up during quarantine because everyone was stuck at home? So they're like, I guess it's a good time to push ads or push people to buy YouTube Red. All right, here we go. This is for Luna.
Woo! Killer bass player over here. Eric plays bass, guys. Thank you so much for the raid. Thomas came in clutch right now. We're just talking about Thomas. Thomas, every time we talk about you, I think we're gonna have to be talking about Thomas every time.
Your ears must be like ringing or something.
Every time we talk about him, this is the second time he's rated us, and we've like, hey, we were just talking about you,
Just
Thomas.
talking about Thomas.
It's like, wait a second, who's talking about me? Okay, that's the target right there. Welcome in. Thank you so much, Raiders. Thomas, if you guys don't know Thomas, I mean, where you been? He plays a lot of Dream Theater, and he's an amazing guitarist from Argentina. Yes, he's spicy, guys. So go follow him. We have Eric plays bass. Obviously, he's a killer bass player. He just played Constant Motion by Dream Theater. So, I mean, wow, man. Like, that was
just attempted.
Crazy.
Man, I knew it was my left arm. I was like, yeah, my hand's gonna hate this.
Why'd you do That's why it's behind him right now. He's massaging it like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, you know, it's why I have so much respect for Dream Theater over the years. Like, for John Mayung to play what he does night after night after night is, and because people will get on him like, you know, oh, I listened to the stems, and you know, he didn't really hit that note very well. And it's like, well, first of all, it's blending into a mound of other sounds, so it doesn't matter. And second of all, whatever, it's John Mayung, man. Like, you try doing that for 3 hours.
Yes, you try it.
Oh my god, he's insane. John Mayung is just insane that he can do it, what he does. So
I got to meet Petrucci, and I shook his hand for the first time, and his hand is like meaty, like giant muscle, like I'm shaking the
Those
entire.
Italian meat hooks.
Just says a lot about like their playing, you know.
I have very high odds of meeting John Petrucci at some point, because he does come to Sweetwater every now and again. So I'm looking forward to the possibility coming, you know, to me, so I can actually meet John and just like, oh man, what's
that'd
up,
be
man?
cool.
Because John seems, everything I've seen with John in like interviews and stuff, or people talking about, oh yeah, I met John, is always just like, yeah, he's like super laid back. He's just like, hey man, how's it going?
He's a New Yorker. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's very chill.
Yeah.
He's super chill. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I would love to meet John Mayung, of course, that the elusive, you know.
You probably won't get much words out of him, but I mean.
Well, he's really talkative when you actually get him going, apparently. Like, from what I've read, he's just, you know, generally keeps to himself, you know. I used to watch the, going back to the Dream Theater discussion and stuff, I used to watch Jordan Rudess's tour vlogs. He was like kind of an OG like vlog person for a while. He had like an early iPhone, and he would just, you know, videotape stuff behind the scenes. Yeah, he'd vlog while he was on tour, and it was great because I got to like, you know, like connect through the story of the band on tour. And I'll never forget like the rare moments that John would be spotted. Like the comment section would go crazy, like, John Mayung exists, there he is, oh my god, it's John. And like he had videos of like I remember, because John's like, going back to John now, like his practice regimen is like insane. He warms down after shows. He warms up, then he plays the 3-hour show, then he warms down after the show.
What is warming down?
I don't know. You have to find John Mayung and find out, because he does it, and it's working because he's amazing. But he warms down. I imagine it's something to do, like he's just kind of like relaxing himself after playing for so much, because
pose after yoga. You know, you have to, like, after you do everything, you have to wind down.
Yeah, like just loosen back up, because, you know, you're on a show, it's energetic, it's electrifying. And I can definitely know when I've been warmed up for a while after a night of streaming, sometimes I just want to keep going. Even though I don't have any energy, I just my hands just want to keep moving. So I have to imagine something with warming down has to be connected with like training your hands to go back to just normal, and just like, okay, you're not playing an instrument anymore, you're going to relax, you're going to do normal stuff.
You're gonna grab a cup now. You're not gonna throw it.
You're gonna grab a beverage and relax, and
you're not
just
shaking.
Wind down. Yeah. So I have to imagine it's something related to that. But yeah,
it could be like the energy behind it.
And I remember watching one of those Jordan Rudess videos, like behind the scenes, where
so gaming.
during the tour that I saw him on Black Clouds and Silver Linings, they had a big like curtain that would fall before they did Nightmare to Remember, and it was being the big opening stuff. And John, you could see video of John warming up moments before the song's first note hit. So he'll just be constantly doing his stuff, and then just quickly hit his tuner pedal, unmute himself, and then hit the first note, and you're just like, the man does not stop. I can just picture John in bed, just like like in his sleep,
with his bass.
Or I was sleeping with his bass, yeah. Which I played those basses too. Those basses are really killer. The bongo basses. I know they look like toilet seats with strings, but they're actually killer basses.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's some serious like mastery of like your instrument, because they say like you put 10,000 hours or something like that, or
yeah, I mean, if I'd played just average, like well, John tried. He had an agreement with both Johns. Petrucci and Mayung had an agreement in Berkeley to practice no less than 6 hours a day. They had to at least get 6 hours a day in every day. So if we do that, that's 6 hours every day. That's 180 hours a month, or 365 times 6, whatever that would be. A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
I'm a bass player. I can count to 4 pretty reliably most of the time.
I only count to like
He's
7.
a drummer, so
Right, yeah.
it's like they're constantly thinking of like patterns and.
Yeah, when I'm like listening to like Marco Miniman talk like odd time signatures, and I'm like 11/16s. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
And Marco just throws it out there like, oh yeah, you're doing your 11/16 polyrhythm.
Can you count that for me so I can figure out where the 1 is?
That's one of my favorite Dream Theater videos, is when Mike Portnoy runs through Dance of Eternity. He's like 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, and he's just like doing like all the time.
That was the only way I was able to learn it, just listening to him count.
And the funny thing is, and like now that I've listened to that song so many times, I can almost get it every time, but like I can't play it, but I know where it's going. Like, because
you can count it.
Like you kind of like start developing the rhythm after hearing it so many times. But that's just following along as a cover musician, not writing the thing and like creating it. So that's why Dream Theater is just so like on another level of that type of thing. So
Thomas, half of this was about Dream Theater, so you watch the replay. Yeah, we did talk about Dream Theater, and it's one of his major influences. So do you know Thomas? We were talking about Thomas, right? You guys know each other. You guys follow each other. Yeah.
Thomas had no idea you knew Dream Theater.
Dream Theater's for very rare occasions, such as this. Like, I don't really play any Dream Theater tunes anymore, since I don't have a 5-string or more bass anymore, and I'm just out of practice with doing all those like crazy patterns and theory that I never, like I mentioned earlier, like I don't have any musical like theory, like formal knowledge. I just learned it from doing it and understanding songs. Like I'll learn a song, and learning Dream Theater songs especially, like I didn't know why they did what they did. I just learned how to play. I look up the tab and I'd go, okay, I do that, and then and I do it. So I don't like know why they do what they do, but I know how to do some of those songs. Lines in the Sand probably being the most accessible one, but I don't have a 5-string bass to play it anymore, and you really need a 6-string anyway. So yeah, I never really do them. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it, dude. It's the constant motion is a constant motion. It's just
Yeah, it's a fun song.
Insane. Well, you did it justice, because that was really amazing. That was really great.
Thank you.
And it's fun to see you. I saw you and you were like all over, but it was fun to watch.
It's fun to see my hands just like, especially with not having that low B string to hit the lower notes, because there's a riff that's just like it's but in the low notes it would be like it'd be like that, but I'm trying to do it without the, without having a low B, and he would be hitting that low D that would be down here with the 5th string. I can't hit it, so I go.
So you substitute it.
Doing those gallops too, like Iron Maiden was where like bass gallops became a thing, but they were only with 2 fingers. So with John Mayung, he does like 3 and sometimes 4 finger gallops, especially with like when you're doing Metropolis, where you get to after the bass solo, it's just like just doing like that whole galloping thing. It's tricky when you haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, that's a lot of exercise in practice for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Slap.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
That's another thing too.
Maybe we opened you back to that avenue where you're going to be getting Thomas and going in there with Rage. You're going to have to do a Dream Theater every time he goes in there. So you got to start getting prepared.
Start learning some Dream Theater.
Well, on that note, if I get enough customers at Sweetwater, I can afford that 5-string bass. That
there you go. Goals for the next, that's the next goal.
Always ask for your rep to be Eric. Yeah. And, hook them up with some sales.
Let me give a quick just if I'm going to do any shameless plug about Sweetwater, it'll be this one.
Go ahead.
This is your spot.
Yeah, Sweetwater, for everyone that doesn't know, Sweetwater is the largest online retailer of musical goods now in the United States, and it's only one store in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I live here, I work there. I'm a sales engineer, so I sell stuff, music gear of all sorts that's on Sweetwater, and video gear now too, actually, a lot of that too. It's not limited to just musicians though. We do a lot of institutional business. I do a lot of institutional business, like sound systems for churches. There's a dedicated section to Sweetwater about doing pro audio installs for like football stadiums and like giant convention halls and all sorts of stuff. So sky's the limit with Sweetwater. But it's all personalized business. We're not just an order-taking place. We don't just pick up the phone and inventory things. We build relationships with sales, and based on that, it is crucial to have a relationship with the person that you are, buying stuff through. And it doesn't have to be anything like, hey, here's my phone number, come meet my kids. It's just like, it's like when you go to a local store that you really dig, your local music store, or even your post office in your area, where you go and you see the same person every day. Oh, hey, what's up, Jim? Oh, hey, what's up, Eric? How you doing, man? And just that's the whole thing with Sweetwater, and their whole idea is that you get the same person every time, or hopefully the same person, and if you don't, you get treated the same way every time. And what's so crucial about Sweetwater that people don't understand is that because of that, we're all commission, 100% commission. I have a safety net salary, which is, they kind of have to have that because, sometimes you're going to have a bad week or something, but it's all commission-based sales. So I get a percentage of what profit's left over. So, if something's $1,000 and it cost us $600, I get a portion of the $400 less card fees and shipping fees, because there's no such thing as free shipping. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff and Amazon. No such thing as free shipping, because we don't own our own shipping company. We have to use FedEx, which is FedEx. So that's the biggest takeaway. Sweetwater is all about personalized sales. It's tricky to do with international orders because we have restrictions based on what the brand dictates us. Well, like Fender, for instance, or Gibson's probably a better example, but Gibson's no, we don't ship outside of the United States at all. So it's tough with some brands for doing international business. But that's what Sweetwater's all about. So personalized sales. And
if you're stocking Gibson guitars, they tell you as a right to use their product or have their product. You can't ship it anywhere else but the States.
Yep, they're strictly forbidden. You cannot, if someone orders online, the order might go through online just because we auto process those orders, but we'll have to contact the customer hey, and that's part of the personalized job. There's many things more than just the personalized sales part. There's also the personalized support behind the scenes of product support, technical knowledge, tax questions, credit questions, all sorts of things that I handle on a daily basis. And part of that is with international customers, having to contact them and say, hey, thank you for the order. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to ship this to you. Now, and you can't use a port forwarder or something like that either. But if you have someone stateside that can a friend, hey, yeah, I got my buddy, I got my buddy Luna, he's going to pick it up for me in New York and then he's going to ship it to me in Germany. can we do that? Yeah, you can do something like that. But then everything has to go through Luna instead of, Alpine. Or something. So that's kind of the way like around it, but it's not around it because you're still shipping to somewhere in the States. And then from there, it's up to
because it's me as the consumer that's in the States versus someone else. Like as long as the shipment is done within the States, then after that it's free game.
Right. It's just kind of like the liability of everything. So, but other than that, Sweetwater is the best. I mean, I'm of course a little biased, but I've been shopping at Sweetwater for 7 years now. Before I ever worked there, I've been working music retail now for a decade, and no one does it like Sweetwater does it. It's incredible what happens there.
Yeah.
Just all the behind the scenes stuff, the matters of everyone involved, like, for lack of a better term, giving a shit about the person. Like, it's all musicians that work there, of course, myself included, but everyone around me is either a musician or an audio professional of some technical side of things. Even the non-musicians that work there are all like, oh yeah, I've worked in a studio for 20 years, or oh yeah, I graduated from music business, or something. It's always some higher level of technicality involved behind the scenes.
I worked at a Guitar Center for like a summer job. And then they've always.
How dare you mention? I'm just kidding.
They've always wanted me back.
You saw that.
But
gulp?
this was before Sweetwater. Like Sweetwater never existed then. And then it was like
Sweetwater's been around for a long time, but they haven't existed in the manner that they have. Been.
Right, as big as they were. Right, they are now. But like everything was Guitar Center or Sam Ash. Right.
Sam Ash. Yeah.
So those were the two main spots. And then when online orders became a thing. That's when Musician's Friend was the go-to site for online orders for a little while, because Guitar Center ended up buying them out. So so essentially it's weird because Guitar Center has their own site you can order from, and then they have Musician's Friend you can order from, which doesn't make any sense because it's the same shit.
Yeah. Oh no, and that's part of the funny thing to me when I read comments. Like people are like, I hate Guitar Center, but Musician's Friend always hooks me up. I'm like, it's all going to the same place.
It's the same thing.
And I mean, but that's part of the human, nature of anything with just humans involved. There's going to be imperfections. There's going to be dropped balls, and Sweetwater's like management and just like ideas behind growth are sustainable. Guitar Center's not. Like, I have this question almost daily. Like, people were like, wait, can I get 15% off? I'm like, maybe. Like, I can't just throw out a 15% off because some things aren't worthy of 15% off. Some things are the price they are because of what goes into them, what quality goes in, and what I get out of it, because you're asked, like, and it's something that it always seems to blindside people, but it shouldn't. Like, people will call in to ask a question to me and then go buy it somewhere else. Like, actually, I don't remember the person's name, and I'm not gonna like try to bring them down or anything. But I was listening to this show a couple times ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, but when I think I came into chat and I mentioned, like, Sweetwater was mentioned, and then they went on a story. They're like, oh yeah, I used Sweetwater to get a price quote, and then I took it somewhere else and bought it somewhere else. I'm like, that's not a cool thing to do, dude. Like,
because they price match at certain locations,
right? And then it undercuts the person that's on commission versus the person that's not on commission at Guitar Center. Or
not cool, man. Not cool.
And like I said, I'm not trying to like bring them down or anything.
I don't remember who that was,
but that's something that people just don't think about. They just they get the help from Sweetwater, but then they don't follow through, and for many reasons. Sometimes it's like simple as they just can't get it from Sweetwater, like it's not in stock, or it's not available to ship abroad, or it's, I don't know, anything, but
Yeah, I never liked asking for like, discounts on things, not unless it's like a necessary thing where like, all right, I did see this somewhere else at this price, that has been brought down on their site or, at the store level, if this is something that, price matching almost.
Yeah, like it's very rare that there's a price match situation with Sweetwater that's like not going to happen, because most of the price changes are dictated by the manufacturer. The manufacturer says, this is our price, this is how much you pay for it. We suggest selling it for this, and then you can kind of decide what to do at that point. Rickenbacker is a very notorious example of that, where they don't give a price. You have to contact the vendor for a price, which is then essentially made up by the vendor. Because and this isn't like secret, like you can just go on forums and read about this, but people will be like, yeah, I shopped Chicago Music Exchange, they gave me this price on the Rick, but then this store gave me this price, and then this other store gave me this price, so I went with the cheapest one, you know. So price shopping is a matter of just common business practice and the way capitalism in general works. And hey, I love helping people out. So if someone calls and I can save them $300 on something and they're going to buy it through me, like, and I can make it work, like, I'll do it. But if I can't make it work, I'm not going to do it. I had a guy in Puerto Rico that I don't even respond to anymore. Like, he just,
it's not me, I swear. I didn't do it.
Trying to get a discount over here.
The toughest thing is, like, Puerto Rico is technically international sales, even though it's part of the United States. And it shouldn't be counted as international, but because it has to travel international waters to get to Puerto Rico, it's counted as an international sale. And so there are not only brand restrictions, but there are also shipping restrictions. There's no free shipping to Puerto Rico because it's fucking expensive to ship there. And I had this guy just whittle me down on price, like just kept trying to get price, and he's like, "Oh, I can get it from musicians for this." I'm like, "So go get it there."
Yeah, so go get it. Yeah, that's the price.
And every time they go, "Oh, well, I want to order from you." Like, you want to order from me, but you don't.
But you
the price
actually
I'm giving you.
You're making it difficult, man.
Yeah, there's so many benefits to ordering through Sweetwater. You get to see the very guitar you're getting. You get to know the weight. You get to see the exact, like, details of the wood grain if it's a guitar. You get it. We inspect everything with a 55-point inspection.
And you get candy.
You get candy. And you also get a free 2-year warranty. You don't have to buy the 3-year extended BS from Guitar Center that they sell for stupid amounts of money. We give a free 2-year warranty to every non-consumable item.
What about cymbals?
Well, cymbals can't be returned if they're used, but there is a warranty period for cymbals. I think it's different. I think it's actually 90 days.
Because I know, the only reason why I stopped buying cymbals from Sweetwater is because I'm used to seeing the attached warranties you can purchase from Guitar Center on the cymbals, which is like $50 or $60 on top of your cymbal costs. That carries over 3 years. So if it cracks, you just bring it back. You're only paying $60 for a new cymbal versus $200 plus odd dollars. Right. So I don't know if that's something that Sweetwater has.
It's not. Yeah, I actually just looked it up to verify. But yeah, when you go to the Sweetwater's like free 2-year warranty page, our total confidence coverage, it says what isn't covered. It says, we do. It's like, hey, we can't cover everything, and one of the things that's mentioned is cymbals. So, and that is just because it's literally something you're hitting, and unless it was, unless it was an actual defect, like, you could tell, like, hey, this wasn't lathed properly, like, this is an actual defect, which we would then go like, hey, sorry, let's send you another one. You can't compensate for, like, something people hit. Like, case in point, I remember one of my gigging drummers, one of the best drummers I've ever played with, bought all new hoops for his drum set, like good hoops too, not cheap stuff. Like, it was really high quality die cast hoops, and he put them on, and he took the drum set to open mic to, like, break it in and, like, really just explore these new hoops. And then this one dude came in, this big dude sat down at the kit, and he's like, hey, can I play a couple songs? Like, yeah, man, of course. And just rim shot. Those hoops were all dented by the end of it after a couple songs. And it's like, this dude he just bought these hoops, and they're already dented, and they weren't defective. This guy just hammer fisted them. So, it's hard to cover something like that.
Should have seen that guy coming. Like, wait.
I mean, I've played with some drummers that I remember there was one drummer I had to physically turn away from because, like, his crack of his snare was so loud in my ear. Like, I could not, because usually I like to face the drummer. I like to, like, if the drummer's next to me, I want to, like, make eye contact and, like, do cues and stuff.
Yeah.
This dude, I could not do that. It was too loud. And we were on it was a small stage, but it wasn't like that small. But he was just crack. Every snare hit was a rim shot, and it was loud.
I know. Like, we went to a show, and there was this drummer, and I just remember we just looked at each other, and he's like, man, he does not have to play that hard. Like, come on.
Yeah,
like,
that
it
was
was just,
ridiculous.
and he was a big dude too, and it was just
like he's blatantly trying to break everything he owns. like it's like why?
And then we're just like, oh man, damn.
Some people just like go out of their way, it feels like, to just, see what they can do.
It.
Yeah, we talked to one of the members about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's his thing. That's what he likes to be known for." I'm like,
guess
"Really?"
What? He's not a drummer for them anymore.
and I'll tell you, here's a controversial take for everyone that isn't really talked about. And one of these days, we going back to we had a discussion about goals for the channel, and where one of my main goals is to just have more original music and just content that can't get copyright ID'd and like lets me grow. One of the other things I want to do more is just kind of like maybe music content videos for like YouTube and stuff, of just like things that I don't see people talk about, important things too, like the age-old question, does gear matter? And Adam Neely, I quote Adam Neely a lot because he's one of my favorite YouTube content creators and has been for some time now. He has a video about it where it says yes, but not really. And there's more to it than that. And so I want to do stuff like that. One of the things that I think is very misunderstood with like acoustic guitars, for instance, people like really they'll buy a dreadnought size, which is like one of the largest sizes of acoustic guitars out there, and then complain that, oh, it doesn't record very well, or oh, it doesn't, it's too big. And it's like, yeah, because acoustic guitars were never meant to be that big. When they were invented in the 1800s from Spanish guitars, from flamenco guitars, they were smaller because we didn't have PA systems. And now we have these sophisticated PA systems, and that's why, sound guys we plug in a dreadnought and it's like hard to control because there's just too much information there. But people don't, especially Americans, they more is more. Everyone has to have a truck. Everyone has to, just be bigger than everything, and people are bigger than everything. So it's like it's just that idea that bigger is better, and it's like no, like. As Wolfpack says, tiny instruments win every time. Smaller stuff. So that's like one of those things I want to talk about more on like a spec thing, not here.
That'd be really cool to see, in progression of if you're gonna start doing YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like,
would love to see that.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, man, it was a great conversation today. We had fun. There's so much more we can go and talk about. Like,
of course, yeah.
Like you're just amazing. Like I enjoyed listening to your stories and watching you play, and I'm glad that Yen found you, and I followed up, and I was like, wow, man, this guy's really really good. Like, yeah. Let's get him on. Let's do this.
Well, thanks you guys so much for having me. It's not often I get to do something like this, and I mean it's often I get to stream enough, but it's not often that I can just hang out with someone and talk music and influences and stuff. And I had a really great time. So thank you so much for letting me be on here.
Awesome, of course.
We didn't do the 12 songs.
No, we're going to. This is it.
Okay, all right. So this is
12 songs.
This is no. So everyone has 12 songs that signify the soundtrack of their life, and I know I think you're gonna be really good at this because you're like a music buff. So usually it's really like you don't think about it. You just go with the songs that flare out and you feel represent your childhood. You and your dad's relationship, for instance, the first time you went to that place that you said that you're
your first kiss,
everything that you feel represents you in a whole as the soundtrack of your life. So it's 12 songs. Go.
Oh geez, okay. Let's start with George Thorogood, One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer. That was one of the first songs I learned on guitar, and like one of the first guitar people I heard play where I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I mean, I'm not like a George Thorogood stan or anything, but like he made some cool music. So George Thorogood's One Bourbon, One Scotch, One Beer, storytelling, blues, rock, energy. My Generation from The Who changed how I saw bass originally. Sir Psycho Sexy really changed how I understood bass.
Yeah. Made you feel things at 12.
Made me feel things.
Yes.
Let's see. Chevelle's probably Chevelle. Let's see, what Chevelle song would I put in there? Chevelle really shaped a lot of rock and metal music for me. Not the red. That's what everyone says for Chevelle. I don't know. I can't think of a Chevelle song that like stands out over others, but I listened to a lot of Chevelle growing up. So let's say Chevelle's either Wonder What's Next or Vitamin R. Maybe one of those two. Those are really early Chevelle stuff. Let's see.
So boom, right away, 5.
4.
Right there. Was it 4?
That's 4. He's going on 5 now.
5. Achilles' Last Stand. Led Zeppelin,
beautiful.
one of the best songs of all time. I'll fight anyone who disagrees with that. That's one of the greatest tunes ever.
Agree.
And that album in general, I actually just had this conversation with a customer the other day. Very underrated album. Let's see. Thundercat, maybe Dragon Ball Durag, or any Thundercat really, but especially Dragon Ball Durag, Them Changes, some of the bigger Thundercat tunes. Thundercat just changed the game for me and lead bass. This is tough. Clipping, Clippings, not Body and Blood, but oh shoot, what Clipping song is it? Taken Off. I remember listening to Clippings Taking Off. That's a masterful track. And just incredible all the way around. Seeing that live too, outstanding. So we're at 7. Wolfpack, Fugue State, we'll say. Fugue State, listening to that whole EP too was life-changing in many ways. Let's see. There's so many, that's the problem. Oh, Unknown Mortal Orchestra. Which song is it again too? Sometimes I blank on song titles. Not Honeybee. Shoot. I don't know, something off of Unknown Mortal Orchestra too. That one is amazing. Swim and Sleep Like a Shark. Or no, Necessary Evil. Next album, Multi-Love. Necessary Evil. Amazing track. Let's see what else. Pretty Pimpin', Kurt Vile. Underrated track. Really great grooves. Two left.
Make them good.
Make them count. Dream Theater.
I was waiting.
In the Name of God. So
that's a good song.
Train of Thought. Yeah, that solo section to this day. Oh my God. One of my favorite YouTube videos, quick side note. There's this Japanese guy that did a full cover of In the Name of God, but especially the solo section, and just fucking nails it. And it's like disgustingly good. And he even does the Eddie Van Halen thing where he's like smoking a cigarette and then puts it behind the headstock of his like $3,000 Ernie ball.
Jeez.
Like, but he's so good.
Yes.
And then last one, Remy Wolf, Sexy Villain.
Sweet.
There you go.
Sexy list.
Good, yeah, a lot of variableness of impactful songs and just like, different ideas. I mean, there's so many more than that, but those are just like the first, something like Stream of Consciousness, Dream Theater. No, Stream of Conscious, just like thinking about it.
Oh man, what a list. What a guy. What a bass player. Eric plays bass. Guys, go check him out. He's amazing, as you guys could see. And we had such a blast, Eric. We could have been talking all night because you're such a knowledgeable musician, person, just about everything, music and your experiences. So it was really fun having you. Thank you for giving us this time and space. We really appreciate, love, and hope that everything you plan on making a goal becomes reality by the end of 2022, because you deserve it and you're amazing. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate this time and, for having me on, sharing your space and platform. And I hope everyone watching had a good time. Hopefully it was chill and just, informative and, at least informative. Like, they didn't find it entertaining, at least they found it informative, right? For me.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you reach out to Eric for Sweetwater deals.
And also, when's your next stream so people could catch you in your entirety for your next stream?
Next stream should be this coming Friday for Funk Friday. Friday. That's the next one of note anyway. As long as Friday goes well, we shall see how things move. But I have to work on Saturday, so we'll see.
All right, guys. Next week we got Office Drummer. That's gonna be a big one, okay?
Oh, sick,
so he's doing big things. We're gonna be picking his brain and seeing how he came from Reddit and is just exploding here on Twitch. And that's gonna be next Monday, May 2nd, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I hope you guys had a great time. We always have a great time with you guys. We love you. And we hope to see you on the next stream.
Bye.
Later. Bye, everybody.